You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
We got some Jacksonville Sharks coming up. A big one on Saturday at the arena. Make sure you check it out downtown at the arena. We've got Shark Bites to preview it on Friday and Saturday on actionsportsjacks.com as well. So more to come with the Jacksonville Sharks as they continue their drive for 5 in season number 15 at the Indoor Football League, part of the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks, right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Brent Martineau here in studio once again. Austin Lane, probably check in with him in just a little bit down in South Florida, maybe even a couple times today on the show. Casey will join us a little bit later on as our schedules are all over the place. Hamby's working a little bit of news, so Kim in the corner today. And it's a good corner to be in, by the way. It's not like she got put in the corner. She's in the booth as pushing all the buttons. We appreciate her being along here on a Wednesday. Bobby Kennon on the show, new UNF men's basketball coach who actually made a coaching decision today, and a hire, that is. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, but we've got him jumping in studio for a bit. And what's happening now going forward with the UNF men's basketball program. That was a big deal when Matthew Driscoll announced his resignation and has moved on now to Kansas State. So we'll talk a little hoops on the show, but we'll also talk a lot of football today. And the Florida Panthers are the Stanley Cup champs back-to-back. They get it done again. Just out of nowhere, to me, the Panthers are Stanley Cup, are a dynasty. I mean, not just out of nowhere they're Stanley Cup champs, obviously, but kind of a dynasty. I have used them in this relation before. Arizona, to me, if you take some of their teams, have been irrelevant at times. The Florida Panthers, to me, are high on that list. Like, I have mentioned it several times, whether it's on the radio, in the old show, or this show, over the last 7-8 years, that if you asked people if the Florida Panthers were still a team down in South Florida, they'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember, but I'm not sure. Maybe they moved to Winnipeg or something like that. Like, I don't really think there was much relevancy to that organization. They were just there. Well, they're more than there. So it's an incredible climb, in my opinion. And I get it. We don't talk hockey all the time. Like, there's a part of that. So maybe it's just like in our own bubble. It doesn't feel like people, but come on, nobody was really talking about the Florida Panthers. And I've said this again about Arizona sports franchises. Like the Phoenix Suns, they have star players, and they've made themselves irrelevant because they weren't very good this year. The Arizona Cardinals have slipped under the radar for a lot of their existence, really, and they've had some fantastic players. The Diamondbacks do the same, and then they creep up into the World Series a couple years ago. Like, it's just a weird market in Arizona. And I know what people are saying. It's like, Brent, you cover the Jags. Like, the Jags, how are they relevant? Well, they've actually been relevant. And if you're in, I would say this about the Cardinals, too, to some degree. Like, if you are in the NFL, there's a relevancy to you because everybody watches it and knows players and everything else because of fantasy football. That seems bigger than elsewhere. And we've kind of argued where this list goes on. I mean, you could make the case, I think, a Sacramento Kings, same thing. Even the NBA is big, right? But you just kind of forget about some of these teams. And I really think the Florida Panthers were in that conversation until recently. And the hockey in Florida is unbelievable in the last decade between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. And even at the lower levels of like the ECHL, done very well. We had the Icemen here in town, but the Florida Everblades have done well. Hockey in Florida has been terrific. But this would really be like the Jags, and again, not the biggest market team, not the most relevant team by any stretch of the imagination in the National Football League, but the Shield does carry some weight. And of course, the Jags have had some nice moments, right, in 22 and in 17, and now they have some bigger players, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., that have people talking. They also have a brand overseas to some degree because of the London stuff, and even the noise around the franchise for a while, whether it was because people thought they were moving or not, and now a new stadium. Like, there are things that keep the Jags relevant over time, even when they haven't had a ton of success. But it would be like them just jumping up and being the power of the league. Like, we don't see that, and we don't anticipate that. It would be nice. But that's what Florida has done. Like, the Florida Panthers have done that. That's amazing to me. Really amazing to me what they've been able to build and accomplish in somewhat quiet fashion. Because it is, if there's the four major sports, and I really think you can argue that hockey is not included in like a four major sport category anymore across the United States. Across the globe, different. Canada, different, obviously. But if you want to include it, it's less like, it's definitely the fourth. And therefore, you can be quiet. But to get to this level of relevancy where you are now in the dynasty conversation, just amazing. Just really amazing what they've built. So hats off to them. And they really dominated a lot of that series against Edmonton. I had picked Edmonton in my predictor pool, so I was really hoping Edmonton won. I think it would have been great for hockey, to be honest with you, if Edmonton had won. With the star players that they have, with Canada finally getting one for the first time since the early 90s, that would have been fantastic. But didn't happen, and it's because these guys are just awesome. And they make the great move with Marchand, and he is really a big difference. Look at this. Kim, you came to play today. I like it. Look at these graphics. This also is amazing. And we have talked about this, so I won't belabor this. We talked about it a few weeks ago. This is one of the most astonishing things in sports history. There are some real goofy stats in sports. And this is one of them. And this is just amazing. And some of these teams have been good. Like Edmonton's been in it now, right? The last few years. Right there. And Toronto was the number one seed this year. And hockey just doesn't usually work that way, where the Bruins know all about that and other teams know about that over the years. But to have like the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning winning multiple titles, multiple Stanley Cups, and the Maple Leaf flag can't get anything, is just amazing. Probably one of the most amazing things we've seen in sports, to go 3 decades since 1994 without a championship. So congrats to the Florida Panthers. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that with Austin when he checks in on the show, and maybe a little bit with Casey as well. But they are really good, and now you go into dynasty category of what this means. Calvin, you know, it's interesting in Florida. When you win, you certainly have fans come out of the woodwork, right? Like Brooks Koepka is a big fan. Like, do we still know why? And I'm not sure if I saw the complete story of why Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were down there at the Florida game. Like, are they all of a sudden Panthers fans? Our buddy Pete Prisco, I saw him tweet today. He's like, I'm a fan of 2 teams, the Florida Panthers and Arizona State. And I was like, so people are fans of the Florida Panthers. Well, when you win 2 Stanley Cups and you've been very relevant, you're going to get the bandwagon fans and you're going to get people jumped on. And that's okay. I'm perfectly okay with bandwagon fans. You need them. Teams need them. Franchises need them. Like, that is certainly okay. The Jags could use more of them. Come on board. It's okay. I know people, the diehards, get mad about that stuff. No, that's all right. Florida Panthers needed it. And it's just a madhouse down there now, and that's what winning does. But it's cool to see. It's just astonishing to me that not only Florida hockey is so good, Florida hockey is better than Florida football. Am I lying? I mean, college football, been just okay. Like, just okay is being nice. And NFL football with the 3 franchises, just okay. Hockey has been huge. Baseball, just okay. I mean, the Rays have kind of carried the mantle a little bit. Marlins haven't. Basketball, like, I used to put the Orlando Magic in this category. I feel like they're coming out of that right now with the Bane trade. But now they've been coming out of it a little bit more with some relevancy and better play and making the playoffs and those kind of things. And but I used to put like a little bit in that conversation where it feels like the Magic for 10, 12, 15 years. Like, if you don't talk about them in Jacksonville, you're kind of irrelevant. I mean, we're 2 hours up the road. Like, if you were relevant, we would talk about you. We're talking about the Panthers and the Lightning more. And hopefully the Magic are starting to climb out of that. It'd be nice if the sports scene in Florida would just be hopping all across all the different sports. So Stanley Cup playoffs in the books. Next up, to crown an NBA champ. That will happen. Also, the College World Series. We've had 3 games yesterday. Of course, you got some elimination with UCLA fallen out of that when you get Arkansas, LSU, and now you have Louisville and Coastal Carolina today. And as things will start to take shape in the College World Series as well. Brent Martineau here on a Wednesday, the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, and we're going to steal some sound. Actually, we're not stealing it. We got told we could use it, and an email. And James Gladstone, the Jags GM, was on Sirius XM, and he was asked, guess what, about Travis Hunter and the usage. And I thought it was pretty interesting what he said. This is the kind of the latest thing James Gladstone has said. He's fallen back a little bit under the radar, so to speak, ever since the hunt came out and some obviously conversations about Travis Hunter during the draft time and getting things going. But we won't hear from him a bunch. He is doing a little bit of a national tour, and he was on with the Sirius XM folks and had this to say about Travis Hunter and how they're trying to incorporate him in. There were a couple of things that I thought were pretty interesting, and I would say on the new side of things that I wanted you to hear. So take a listen.
The windows for development in the NFL, they are few and far between, right? The offseason program is where it exists in its healthiest state. Our understanding that Travis is most naturally comfortable, most naturally in tune on the defensive side of the ball. We wanted to load him offensively throughout this window to ensure that by the time we got to training camp, we had a runway built up on that side, because there's so much more nuance, so much more adjustments in real time on the offensive side of the ball that would require a lot more learning. So with this phase of the process sort of being rooted through that lens, that's why we wanted to put the emphasis on O, knowing that we would then trickle in the defensive participation a little bit more towards the back end of the off-season program and really as we get into training camp. I do think there's a little bit of a misconception in that it's wide receiver first, corner second, as much as it is the learning methodology of wide receiver through this phase and then continuing to trickle in more defense, since that is his primary background.
He averaged, memory serves, like 111 snaps a game. I know you guys are big on sports science. I know you've crunched the numbers. How many can he realistically be on the field?
Time will truly tell. And I think the thing that you can, in fact, lean into at this stage is he does not tire. He has got a spark. He has got the energy, the capacity from a physical standpoint, just to be able to do it is certainly there. It'll be in terms of one game to the next. Where does it fit? Where does it make the most sense? Certain game plans might dictate usage differently. So time will truly tell, and I don't know that one game to the next is going to be the exact same, but putting a number on it at this stage is, I think, probably premature. But look forward to seeing how it really plays itself out here and him earning his spot on both sides. Certainly going to be an opportunity for him. Got to take advantage of it here down the stretch.
It's James Gladstone. He was on Sirius XM this week yesterday with Andrew Siciliano and Max Starks. And I think some of that is what you've heard, but I thought there were probably three interesting things that just should be pointed out, and maybe more of an exclamation point of things that probably we've heard. And one of those is this constant, hey, the offense is much more difficult to get than the defense, right? And we know that. We know that by watching this sport, covering this time of year, covering training camp. It's long been that way, where defenses are ahead of the offense, and because there's just so much more information to get on the offense. It doesn't mean it's not hard on defense or it can't be complicated on defense. I think actually this new system under Anthony Campanelli is going to have some of that, but there's still a call sheet that's a lot shorter on the defensive side than there is the offensive side. So Gladstone pointed that out, and that's why the heavy workload on the offensive end of things so far for Travis Hunter, and that's where the workload has been. I thought it was pretty interesting where he said, I think there's a misconception that it's wide receiver first and corner second. And I feel like that's not really just a conception or a perception. It feels like a reality. And the reality is he's going to be used on the offensive side more than the defensive side, right? Like, that's what we are all thinking. That's what they were kind of saying, or have said throughout this process. So I don't know if I fully agree with James Gladstone saying there's a misconception there. I think when it boils right down to it, Travis Hunter is going to be used on the offensive side more than the defensive side. I think that's the plan. Now, unless that's changed a little bit, and that can morph, no doubt. I mean, that certainly can morph, right? But do you actually see a situation right now? Do you feel like there's a situation in a game of the 17 games the Jacksonville Jaguars will play that he plays more snaps on defense than he plays on offense? I'd be stunned. Like, just absolutely stunned. To me, he's their number 2 wide receiver. And quite frankly, he's like their number, at right now, like the number 4 corner. If you put Tyson Campbell, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis, I'm not telling you that he couldn't be higher than that. Just saying right now, it feels like he's the number 4 corner because of the way they're going to use him. So I thought that was a pretty interesting comment. And I don't know if that was more to say, like, we value him on both sides of the ball equally, even though he's playing more early on in OTAs and minicamp on the offensive side because he's got to get the system and everything else. It's a little bit more complicated, nuanced, everything else. Or is that hey, we don't want to tip our hand this much, right? We'll keep you guessing where he's going to be used. Or does he really now think, like, maybe he can play more snaps than we first thought he can play? So let's keep that door open, right? I believe their plan is to use him on a 2-to-1 type of level offense to defense. That's just in my mind. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's putting a number on it. Nobody's getting in front of a microphone and doing that. And I don't think they ever will, really. Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself up against that? I mean, keep it wide open and use it how you see fit. But from my perception, and I don't feel like it's a misperception or a misconception, is that he's going to get 2-to-1 offense. He's your number 2 wide receiver. He's going to make an impact with Trevor Lawrence, who you're trying to help get the most out of Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen, offensive guy. That's why he's really excited about this, with all due respect to the defensive side of the ball. But Travis Hunter is going to be 2-to-1 offense to defense, in my estimation. Even in the chat here, you get comments like, if the D can't force turnovers on D, he'll be used to give the others rest. If our corners struggle. Like, you're asking, like, if. Well, you're not asking if on offense. On offense, it's like, see at wide receiver number 2, and how does this match up with Brian Thomas Jr.? Like, that's it. William, no way on the return. I just don't see it. I think he could do it in a pinch. You need him to do it, fine. But you don't want to put him out there, even risk more injury. I think this becomes an injury type of thing that you got to be careful of. And to go along with my point a little bit about the offense versus the defense part, he does go on to say, like, Siciliano brings up the 111 snaps a game, and Gladstone doesn't shy away from it. He's like, listen, he can do it, basically. He can play as much as the game will allow him to play, snap-wise. But are we going to utilize him that way? He says in this, where does it make the most sense? Certain game plans might dictate usage differently. Absolutely. I fully understand that. I get that. I mean, listen, if you're up like 30-10 on somebody, why are you putting him out there on defense? He doesn't need to be playing on defense. But if it's a tight game and you got a lot of red zone things and 2-minute drill opportunities or third down opportunity, like, you might use him a lot more. Putting a number on it at this stage is, I think, probably premature is what he says. But I look forward to seeing how it really plays itself out here. Him earning his spot on both sides. Certainly going to be an opportunity for him. Got to take advantage of it here down the stretch, meaning he's got to keep working toward it, even at this time. Remember, they're still working in the building, the rookies are. So I still feel like this 100 snap stuff, does he eventually get to that in a game? That's another fascinating question, right? Like, if I ask you 2 questions today, how you answer this? One, I just asked both, but I'll recap. One was, is there a game out of the 17 that he plays more defensive snaps than offense? I say absolutely not. Be stunned. Be the stunner of the year for me. The way I'm thinking about this whole situation right now. Now, I could ask this question in September, and by the time I've seen him in preseason games and camp, and they've said some certain things on a microphone, I might change my mind. But right now, I'd be stunned if that's the case. The other one is, would he play 100 snaps? Like, he's played 100 snaps in a game many times, like all the time. Will he do that in the NFL? In my opinion, that's a hard no. I do not think they're putting him out there. Keep in mind, the NFL snaps versus the college snaps are vastly different per game. Vastly different. I mean, sometimes you could have 90 snaps on offense in college. You get about 60. You like 65 or so on offense in the NFL. The Jags too many times were in the 50s last year. And I think they might even been in the 40s once or twice. So your amount of plays in a normal game by average is probably, let's just say, between 120 and 130 in the NFL. So for him to play 100 snaps would be, I think, kind of crazy because, again, every time you put him out there in the NFL, there's one thing you got to think of, too. It's just that you don't want to be thinking of this, is you're putting him out there, the percentages go up to get injured in a sport that a lot of guys get injured. So there's this factor of, yeah, can he do it? No doubt. He could play 100 snaps. Absolutely. Will he do it? I would say absolutely not. Hard no for me. So those two questions I think are kind of fascinating. Like, what's the Vegas odds on that? I think the Vegas odds on that would be huge for him to play 100 snaps at an over-under 99.5, let's just say, or have more defensive snaps than offense. Just don't see it. Now, in the chat here, we get, Glenn C. just said KC-Cincy games, you might exceed 100 snaps. I would actually argue this point, Glenn, especially early in the year, based on the heat and everything else, I'm not sure that would be the time to do it so early on. When do you find a flow of the year when you're more seasoned so your snaps go up? Like, when is that? In the NFL grind, that's a hard time to fit. By the late in the year, you're fatigued, you're banged up. The middle of the season, you're still trying to figure things out, especially as a young player. I guess at the early outset of the season would be the time to do something like that. But if you're making the case for KC and Cincy, why don't you make the case for Houston? I think it's the biggest game on the schedule. And then why don't you make the case for San Francisco, who also is very good? So I believe this is a 70 to 80 snap kind of thing for Travis Hunter. That's just in my mind. That's where I go. I'm stuck there right now. So anything above that would really be a bit surprising. Now, if it goes 82 or 83, I'm not surprised. If it actually goes like 65 or 66, I'm like, why didn't he play more snaps? So that's where my mind is right now. And I don't want to get stuck on that. I can move off that. The Jags look like they're going to be pretty fluid with this. But getting from 80 snaps to 100 snaps, that's a different animal, is my point. And I just thought this was pretty interesting, like the misconception that it's wide receiver first, corner second. Again, the quote is, I do think there's a little bit of misconception in that it's wide receiver first, corner second, as much as it's the learning methodology of wide receiver through this phase, and then continuing to trickle in more defense since that is his primary background. Which is also a pretty interesting phrase, right? He's primarily a corner by trade. So is that where you get the most bang from Travis Hunter in terms of impact? I get the learning stage. That makes a lot of sense. I'd still be stunned if he plays more defense than offense, the way this has taken shape, the way this has looked, the way that it is in my head, the way that it's been presented. So if that is misconception, I guess I'm in line with that. But I really don't think it's misconception. I think it's been painted that way. Like that. So that's not really an interpretation on our end. Maybe they've painted it a certain way and it's going to change and morph. But I think clearly he's wide receiver first on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we went through a whole mock draft process and other processes through this, last 6 months where I was like, he's cornerback first. And it was like, wait a minute, is he receiver first? Remember, everybody was kind of hush-hush on that. There are some differing opinions, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure we came around on the league thought he was going to make most impact on the offensive side of the ball when picked in the first 5 or 10 picks of the draft. Like, if he had gone to Cleveland, he's playing primarily wide receiver and then mixing in on defense, I think is the thought. And it's clearly the thought, in my opinion, here in Jacksonville. So fascinating comments from James Gladstone. It is one of the big topics in the NFL as we watch this play out. We're learning along the way. And right now we have comments like this to kind of dive into. But we really won't have evidence until we have evidence, which is going to be in August on a more consistent basis on the practice field, which we'll be out there for. And also in the preseason games. I suggested to somebody in the preseason games that what if they play them on offense one against the Steelers and then on defense against the Saints? I don't think he'll play against Miami because they're practicing against Miami that week. So it will be the third preseason game, so I doubt the starters play. But how do you divvy that up? Do you play 1-1? So he can just focus on one side of the ball? Or do you get used to focusing on both sides of the ball like he's accustomed to and play in those two games a little bit of both? Because keep in mind, like you go out for like 2 series maybe against Pittsburgh is what the offense, if they play in that first game, which is also a little interesting because these guys came from the Rams and the Rams didn't really play guys in the preseason, or they haven't a lot. I remember they were the first ones to kind of do that, win a Super Bowl that year. Even though they didn't play anybody in the preseason. So there are a lot of things still to be determined. And how much will they be coy and use this as a little bit of a weapon early on to not want to tell everybody? I think that's definitely in play on both sides of the football and organizationally. But fascinating to continue to watch this, well, what we've called a unicorn here in Jacksonville and Travis Hunter. Let's take a time out. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. I'll continue to throw that question out to you. I'll probably put it out on social media as well. Maybe I'll put it in the form of a poll question or something. But do you think there's a time this year that Travis Hunter will play more defensive snaps than offense? Do you think there's a time this year that he gets to 100 snaps in a game? 2 different questions. Can be 2 different answers. We'll be right back. Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Save 10% off any water heater, plus no trip charge. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that, we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet is truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Jacksonville Armada on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network times 2 this week. Got a matchup on Friday at 7 o'clock. You can see it on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. On Saturday, it'll also be 7 o'clock. Hopefully, weather holds and is all good out there at EWU. And that one will play on Action News Jax Now stream, which is right next to our Action Sports Jax 24/7 stream on the website and on the app. And you can also watch, of course, on Roku and Apple TV and Google TV and the rest from your living room. So that one will move over to that stream while we have the Jacksonville Sharks on the sports stream. But multiple locations, multiple matchups. The Jacksonville Armada finishing up their season with only 3 more to go, and playoffs on the horizon as well. 3 more to go in terms of broadcast for us on the men's and women's side of things. Brent Martineau here on the Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Kim's Corner here today. Casey will join us in a little bit. Bobby Kennon from UNF going to stop in at 11 o'clock. Austin Lane will jump in a little bit later on in the show. Hopefully, we'll talk a little bit more about the Florida Panthers winning that Stanley Cup finals and getting it done in pretty much emphatic fashion. One thing you like about hockey is all the close games and the matchups. And the first 3 out of 4 games in this one went to overtime, so it was close in that sense. But at the same time, the way the Panthers kind of poured it on, and they blew the one game 3-0. They had the lead after 1 and then blew it. They really felt like the aggressor and the better team most of the series. So they get it done back-to-back now for the Florida Panthers, which is very impressive, by the way. So a couple other things that we'll get to here on the show today. I want to ask Austin when he gets in about all these different Giannis trade possibilities. There's something on ESPN about that. Would he take any of them? And Caitlin Clark, she's back. And with that, the eyeballs are back, right? Great time of year. We always say this. College baseball, college softball really takes advantage of this time of year. The NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs are really spread out. Major League baseball is a constant thing, but you have a lot of empty space, if you would. You have a lot of real estate to put games on the weekends or at night, and people are kind of flipping around and finding something to watch if the Netflix show is over or whatever else. Well, WNBA takes advantage of that. They did last year. They're doing it again this year. Now, Caitlin Clark went out for a couple weeks, and their numbers drastically dipped, and now she's back, and she's played well, but also, Seems like every time she plays, there's almost a fight on the court or something going on. Angel Reese comes back into play there with a nice triple-double the last couple of days. So here comes the WNBA again this time of year, building some momentum. And as we always say here on the show, women's sports right now is just on a great trajectory. And Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and WNBA, big part of that. So it's kind of hard not to see it. Even if you're just scrolling through some things, it kind of stops and grabs you for a little bit and captures your attention. I think Caitlin Clark really does that, and it's crystal clear how much of an impact she has made on women's basketball. So I might get into that a little bit more. Gators Hoops, by the way, is going to play reportedly Miami in Jacksonville November 16th. So the national champs will be in Jacksonville. They've got a heavy schedule, by the way, in the early going, which is great. It's the way it should be. Gators figure to be one of the best teams in the country. Should play a great schedule, a tough schedule. None of that will hurt you. And we'll see if the SEC is as good as it was last year. That will be a little bit difficult to duplicate. All right, I got the question out there now on Travis Hunter. I'll go one at a time. We don't put one at a time here, so we don't get inundated. And the question is, will Travis Hunter play more defensive snaps than offensive snaps in a game this season? And one quick response, Brian says, if he does, it means we messed up that game. Well, we've done that before in Jacksonville. Certainly could mess up the game. So it'll be interesting to see some of the responses here. I could have gone poll question. Maybe I will kind of push that out a little bit later. But from an interactive standpoint here on the show, YB400 says, I think this is the right staff for this type of roster because this staff listens to the players who knows best from what's going on the field than a person that's on the field. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know if we know that yet. You know, here's the thing about the staff and everything else that's good, and I'm on board with it, right? I mean, there's a lot of momentum. It's okay. Like, that's fine. But we haven't hit adversity at all in Jacksonville. And guess what? It's coming. So what happens then? How does the staff respond? How much do they listen to players? How much should you listen to players? What's the balance there? So, yeah, I think there's a trust factor that is being earned right now on both sides of it, and I think they do have that. We have had a lot of feedback on, there's the trust is growing, and there's the alignment is there, not just with the front office folks that we've pointed out, but it seems like in the building with the roster and the locker room and everybody else. Now, most players always say this, will try to buy into anything. I think you should try to buy into anything. You have a change at work and you don't even really love it, you should probably buy into it. Like, start from there. I'm going to buy in. Now, if that goes away at some point for a good reason, that happens. I think last year the Jags tried to buy into Ryan Nielsen. I think there were some early red flags from the players dealing with Nielsen, like kind of shrugging their shoulders and making a face like I just made. But they still want to be bought in because you're early and you want to win. You're hungry to win. But then when it starts falling apart, you're like, see, I kind of told you. Like, I knew this was going to happen. So that's my point. When it comes to adversity versus how it feels right now, how do people respond then? Are they still all in? Does the staff differ? Does the staff panic? Is the communication the same? So let's get there before we really know. And I get what YB400 is saying. I think he's trying to say basically, like, if Travis Hunter says, hey, man, put me out there more or I can go more, they're going to listen to him. That's going to be a very interesting give and take. Every player wants to play more. Every player says they can go out there. And I think Liam Cohen said this, or maybe it was Gladstone at some point in the last week or so, that you have to protect him from himself a little bit. And that is certainly part of being a coach and knowing when to do that. So there's some interesting things to watch. But the moral of this story is Travis Hunter is that big of a story. Like, he is such a big story. And reason why we're even talking about this today is James Gladstone had some comments on SiriusXM and kind of opened the door to the idea of, wait a minute, he might not be receiver first, which I think we all believe he is. But how could that change? Now, the one thing, like Brian says, if something messed up that game, well, if they only got like 46 snaps in a game, I guess the percentage of him playing on defense certainly could go up. 70 snaps on defense overall, 48 snaps on offense. Well, maybe that's a game where he does play more on defense. I don't know. Because you need him to, or because there are just more opportunities to. Going to be an interesting watch in what's right, what's wrong. It's going to be highly criticized, highly publicized about how this works out. And of course, the scrutiny will go up with losses or negative things. The praise will do the same with positive things when it comes to Travis Hunter. So we got that question out there. We'll also put another question out there, like, will he play 100 snaps in a game? I don't believe so. He averaged 111 or something, I think, at Colorado. I don't think there's a chance he plays 100 snaps. Like, what's the high water mark in a game? That's a hard one to say, but I don't think it goes to triple digits. Talk a little bit more Travis Hunter, get some of your comments on that as well. But we have been highlighting or trying to highlight position groups. Monday, quarterbacks. Tuesday, running backs. Today, tight ends. And this is a fascinating look at the Jags tight end room, because if I told you or asked you what's the biggest loss from last year's roster, I think a lot of folks would go to Evan Engram in the tight end room. Christian Kirk certainly would be up there. But the combo of losing Kirk and Engram drew the ire of some, but also the concern of many. How do you replace that? If you asked before Travis Hunter got picked how their offense looks on paper after free agency, you're scratching your head a little bit. Well, we had Tony Baselli on draft day. And I said, Tony, you guys have a big hole at the number 2 wide receiver position. He's like, well, we really like De'Ami Brown. And obviously they were being a bit coy there because they ended up getting Travis Hunter. And when you throw Travis Hunter in the mix, you're like, okay, I'm cool now. I'm good. Travis Hunter, exciting. I can see what you're doing here. That takes the place of a Christian Kirk or an Evan Engram in the receiving game, which Engram was pretty much more of a receiver. And it's okay. But before that draft pick, De'Ami Brown, fine signing in free agency. That's cool. But Brenton Strange taking on a bigger workload and a bigger role, signing a couple of, modest, I would say, players to add depth that can fit your style in free agency in the tight end room. Makes sense. That's cool. But Ingram's production was so good. Engram almost had 200 catches in 2 years before last year didn't play every game. He goes on to Denver. You lose him. Obviously, you lose Kirk to Houston. But the Engram thing, I think, is the biggest piece of the puzzle that the Jags have left themselves open to be criticized, because they're really banking on Brenton Strange having a big impact, or they're just really banking on their receivers catching a lot more passes than their tight ends have the last couple of years. And there's going to be a part of that. Nobody anticipates, and really nobody even, I don't think, wanted Evan Engram catching 114 passes a couple of years ago. The reason he had to do that is because everybody got hurt and there was nobody to throw the ball to. It's a little bit why Brian Thomas Jr. came on late last year, as they started feeding him the ball. He was the only guy they really had to trust and feed the ball. So Brenton Strange is not going to catch 85 passes. He's not going to catch 114 for sure. Evan Engram's record is safe there for the time being. They have more weapons to distribute from De'Ami Brown. Throw Parker Washington in the mix, obviously Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. I think they're going to have more pass catches out of the backfield with their receivers, specifically a Travis Etienne. And so their ball distribution will be different. Some because Engram was more wide receiver than true tight end, some would say. Others, and hopefully the other part of this is because Jags stay healthy and they have more guys to throw the football to. But the Evan Engram watch, I think, is on in Jacksonville. What does he look like in Denver's offense? And what do the Jags do production-wise with their tight end room, specifically Brenton Strange? Because as much as Liam Cohen and others, and we can even say, hey, I get it, it's not the right chess piece for your offense. The bottom line is it comes out of the tight end room, and you knew it was a productive room. And you also knew he was a locker room guy and a tough guy on the field and all these other things. So I think it's a fair curiosity of how they're going to handle the loss of Evan Engram, even more so probably than Christian Kirk. And that leads to Brenton Strange having a huge role and the Jags tight end room, quite frankly, being revamped a bit. we got a chance to catch up with Richard Angulo, the tight ends coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he's one of the holdovers, by the way, of last year's staff, the only one on offense, which was pretty unique. But he's done a nice job with the tight end room, of course, with Evan Engram. So the evidence was there, and it keeps continuation and continuity for a guy like Brent Strange, who enters year number 3 in the NFL. Here's our conversation with the tight ends coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, wait a minute, this is the only familiar face in this whole group, right? Now it's familiar because it's been a few months, but what's it like when you're kind of a holdover to a staff that's remade?
It feels like a new start, honestly, just because everyone is new, the system's new, and everything. Obviously, you have the comfort of just kind of, staying home, with your family and things like that. But yeah, it definitely feels all new. Feels like you always got to not necessarily reinvent yourself, but continue to improve and what did you do good and what did you do bad, and build upon that and just continue to get better.
You guys are always in tough situations when there's change. Were you surprised that you were coming back when you came back?
It was just a lot of uncertainty, honestly. So just kind of waiting to see what the decision was going to be on me. And I'm glad, I was kept. Yeah. So it's part of the job. Yeah.
What do you like about this system that you're learning and all the other players are learning, and what we're about to learn a little bit more about?
Yeah. I mean, just the versatility of it, honestly. As you can see, he uses the tight end well. They do a great job in the run game as far as the tight end's role, and being favorable to the matchups. So I think that's a big thing for us. Just seeing improvement there. But honestly, just everything we can do to just try to help increase our role. How we can help this team win and make this offense just run smoothly.
Give us your thoughts on Brent and this role that obviously is going to be increased.
Yeah, absolutely.
How's he handling, I guess, the expectation of that, and then potentially the load of that?
Yeah, I think the expectation, all that stuff, I don't think that stuff really bothers him. He's just really locked in and just trying to understand the offense, learn his role on each play, those types of things. So he's doing a great job. He takes it serious. He puts the time in. He had a great offseason, which showed when he came here and we started OTA. So he's done a good job. As long as he keeps it up, we should have no issues, honestly.
Is he a good fit for what you guys are trying to do with this skill set?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he can do both. He's naturally a physical player, which not a lot of guys are. So obviously that's always a bonus. But yeah, he's shown the things he can do in the pass game and in the run game, and just being able to build upon it and improve for this upcoming season.
Evan was so good that we didn't get to see a lot of Brent, maybe from a production standpoint, but you did all the time.
Yeah.
Was this bubbling anyway, this opportunity, some of the things that maybe everybody didn't see or doesn't show up on a stat sheet that hey, he's got the ability to do this?
Well, I think him having the ability was never a question. It was just a matter of when and how, honestly. And obviously when Evan went down, he gave him the opportunity, and everybody just kind of saw what we all knew already. So good for him. He took advantage of the opportunity. But now this is a different opportunity. He's got to continue to step up and continue to get better to take advantage of this situation too.
When you're out on that practice field, you see how dynamic some of these guys are. Obviously, Brent himself, but you peek over that wide receiver room.
Oh, absolutely.
How fun from an offensive guy's standpoint to just think about what this could look like with some of the talent you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously with BT and Travis, and those are two impressive guys. But anytime you see weapons out there like that, moving around the way they do, running around and catching the ball, it's exciting. So regardless of what position you are, even if you're on defense or whatever. So it's definitely exciting.
Do you feel there's a different vibe with some of, whether it's the coach's energy or even a guy like Travis who they brought in who keep hearing the word juice, a lot. Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. And by talking to Liam, I'm sure you could tell the same thing too. So, it starts there and it translates down to the players. And like you said, Travis, he's all energy, and it's infectious, and guys gravitate towards it. So it's good not only on the field but in the locker room too.
One last one for you on Brenton. I don't think the fans or us really have a good idea what a good blocking tight end is anymore. See it, right?
Yeah.
Everything's a fantasy number or whatever.
Yeah.
How good is he in that part of the game?
I think he can be really good. The big thing is just being able to be consistent with it, honestly. Because like I said, when your role expands, now you're expected to run around a lot more, and then come back on the line of scrimmage and go block big guys. So he can definitely do it. Like I said, it was just a matter of just being able to sustain week in and week out throughout the whole season. Yeah.
That was Richard Angulo. That part is interesting to me. We actually left that interview, and Marcel and I were talking a little bit about this. Like, you don't factor that in at all. When you're blocking, and by the way, Brenton Strange has been, I think, pretty good in that. I mean, the feedback that we've had in the last couple of years has been very good in that realm. He plays with a pissiness that they really like, and they need a little bit more of that edge that you talk about. Like, he has that. He has a little bit of nasty in him. But when you're running down the field 40 times and going out for routes and all those things, how tired do you get? How much do you have left in the tank? Like, didn't really think about it in that respect. And you can get a break. Obviously, you will get some breaks, but you got to be able to deliver, and you're facing usually a bigger guy that you're blocking against. So how good is he in that role, I think, is a bit of an unknown. I think he's got good hands. I think he's got the ability to be a really good tight end from a pass catcher standpoint. He can deliver on the block. He obviously fits. They've been talking about Brenton Strange going back to the combine. James Gladstone had been hired like days prior, and he was already really raving about Brenton Strange. And Liam Cohen has done the same. So they have a lot of confidence in this guy. And this is going to be fascinating because there are two things that I think about. One, he was a second-round pick 3 years ago now. And everybody's all over Balky because he's not playing. He's not getting production. Why'd you waste a second-round pick? Well, if he is productive this year to the tune of, 650, 700 yards, 60 catches, 5 or 6 touchdowns, are we asking that question anymore? He's your starting tight end. He's your tight end. He's your guy. Like, that's a good second-round pick. It took a little bit to get there, but was it worth the wait? I think that will be an interesting conversation if this does work out well. And by the way, there are a lot of eggs in that basket to work out well. The other thing that comes out of my mind is Evan Engram is of the ilk of players like, say, Paul Posluszny, where he seems like a veteran leader, all good in the locker room, great guy to learn from, first out on the field, last one to leave, all those different things that we highlighted about Evan Engram. And so if you go back to that time, you had Miles Jack, and even Telvin Smith to a degree, but Miles Jack was following Paul Posluszny around in 2017, 18, like in that stretch, where everything Puz did, Miles did, from the warm-ups to everything else. It was a great illustration of leadership in that position, showing the young guy how to work and do everything. Well, that didn't really translate for Miles. Like, once Posluszny left, it feels like he strayed away to wherever he went, and I think more of a following of guys like Telvin Smith and others in the locker room. So that one didn't pan out. This illustration is maybe, and we have others, but it'll be interesting to see. Evan Engram, it feels like, taught Brenton Strange quite a bit. Brenton Strange probably learned from Evan Engram quite a bit. What does he do with that? And where does he go now in the trajectory of his career? Because he doesn't have Evan to take him with him. And by the way, that's a good thing for Brenton's career because he now will get more opportunity. One of the mind-boggling things for me in Doug Peterson's offense and the usage of tight ends that he's had in his career is that he wasn't able to figure out a way to use Evan Engram and other tight ends and have them productive, or at least the amount of production. From Brenton Strange going all the way back to Dan Arnold a couple years ago. I thought you had a couple of guys that you could utilize with their skill sets, and he really ended up going with just Evan Engram primarily. That says a lot about Engram because he's a matchup nightmare, but I felt like they left something on the table in the last 3 years, in the ability to highlight a Brenton Strange a little bit more in that offense, or back then a Dan Arnold a little bit more. Also could be a matchup problem with his speed. So we'll see what happens with Brenton Strange now. He's the guy. There's no doubt about that. He's the guy. It's a veteran room, so he does have veteran guys to help him out. But it's his turn now. And what does he do with that will be kind of fun to watch and important to watch because they're pretty empty if it doesn't work. Like, where are they going? And then they have to reinvest in that going forward in the years to come. So I don't think there's a ton of pressure on Brenton Strange, but that could build if they've got some issues in not having production out of the tight end spot pretty quick. Let's take a break. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. A couple questions that we have weaving throughout the show. Have to do a little bit with Travis Hunter. Will he play 100 snaps in a game this year at any time? And will he play defense more than offense in any game this season? I think the answer is no to both. How about you? Bobby Kennon, the new University of North Florida men's basketball coach, joins us coming up next here on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
It's fast-paced,
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
high fly,
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
action-packed, weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks.
I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's gotta be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent! This is the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jax 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Will Olive, Mandarin High School. Go Stangs.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oakleaf High School.
Tony Mazzio, Sandwood High School, class of 2002.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Jax team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com. Grab some friends and go to a restaurant or head out for a drink and some conversation. Watch your favorite team play on the big screen. Or how about play some games? You can do all of that in one night at Best Bet. Each location has a different vibe, its own personality, like here at the original Best Bet in Orange Park. When you walk through these doors, everybody knows your name. And here in St. Augustine, it's the newest location. Play some poker. How about the table games? And don't forget about Ace's Sports Bar and Grill. And then there's the Jacksonville location right here on Monument Road. It's the biggest poker room in the state of Florida. Maybe you'll find yourself a seat right here at the final table. Best Bet, where you can have the best of times. And that makes you always go home a winner. Try any of the 3 locations, and you can always visit bestbetjacks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
We really like this Richard Angulo video, don't we? Just busting chops with Kim. Hey, looks good out there. That's good video from Marcel Robinson. As we were talking tight ends in the tight end room this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Vastly different, of course, with Evan Engram out. And Brenton Strange now the guy. More Jags talk coming up, including some Travis Hunter stuff as we continue to march toward 1 o'clock on the Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. And that guy right there is the new men's basketball coach of the University of North Florida. He's not a new name, though. He knows the area very well, knows the facility very well. We finally got you in here instead of I see you on when I'm walking over on campus, where I've run into you a lot lately. I don't know, we're crossing the path at the same time, but you're always on the phone. You're doing work.
Yeah, always on that phone. That's the biggest thing is, when you have a new opportunity, obviously you're going to have a lot more communication and a lot more responsibility. And I'm just trying to make sure that I was able to return all calls and speak to everyone that I needed to speak to along the way.
Yeah. So how is it? Anything changed in your world? I mean, other than the title and responsibility, I guess.
Yeah, my days start a little bit earlier, they end a little bit later, and they're a little bit busier in between. As opposed, like I'm a music guy, I love to listen to music when I drive. I don't think I've been in the car when I haven't been on the phone, for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So you always done some of that in terms of recruiting and everything else, but now you're just trying to maximize every minute that you have.
There's got to be a lot goes on initially, right? When you get this you've been an assistant for a long, long time. Probably wonder. I know you've had some head coach opportunities at different levels, some interviews, but I mean, it's a little bit out of the blue. At least it feels like. So, are you swimming in terms of saying almost like, hey, you got to slow yourself down, right? Like I could do a million things, a million ideas rush into your head, like you say while you're driving or anything else. A million people to call, but you've also got a good thing that you have helped build.
Yes.
So how much have you almost had to slow yourself down while all this is going on?
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point. Definitely, you have to do that. It's like when you've been in this position, I always say like you want to be there before you get there. So I've imagined this moment for a long time. I've imagined what it's going to look like. I've imagined what it's going to be, and then it gets there, and all of a sudden it's like everyone tells you get the same advice from everyone. It's like you're going to have to make all the decisions now, and they come at you in the volume. Just the volume of assistance and the volume of the decisions and the speed at which you have to make decisions is the biggest thing that I think is the biggest thing that changes for you. The most pressing point for me is when a job changes over now, your team automatically can go in the portal for 30 days.
Yeah.
And even though the portal's closed, so a job changes over, if people have missed out on guys, now all of a sudden you're the market, like your team's the market. So the most pressing thing to me when the job changed over, when I was awarded this opportunity, was to make sure that we maintained our roster. We were very fortunate. Recruiting was done, so we retained all 14 of our players. And I think no matter what, you get lost in everything, and you're worried about this and you're worried about that. You never forget that your guys are the most important thing. Your guys and their families are the most important thing. It's like I was at a concert the other night, and all of a sudden I get a call from one of my players' moms, and I literally stepped out and took it. And she's like, "Coach, you didn't have to do that." I'm like no, I did. They're your most important thing.
And you guys have done a great job fostering that, over the last really 16, 17 years. But what a win that is. I mean, how much of a win is that already for you to have kept everyone? I mean, obviously Coach Driscoll has done a great job, and he's the face of the program. So he's part of that recruiting process as much as you guys all are, the entire staff. but that 30-day window in this transfer happy world and this portal happy world, and people, I mean, blood in the water, I'm sure the Sharks were starting to circle, right?
Well, it's funny. So as soon as we got done the Zoom with the guys, I decided, I was like, okay, let me wait a little bit, let it digest. And then I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, I waited about 15 minutes and I started to get on the phone. And, the first freshman I called, he's like, Coach, yeah, the release just went out 15 minutes ago and I've had 8 people follow me on Twitter already.
Wow.
So it does speak a lot. I think it speaks to the program. I think it speaks to our culture. And I think it speaks to the opportunity. First and foremost, we're able to attract players here because of the opportunity that they have. Guys are gonna come and go now in this market, but they're never gonna leave because they're not loved. They're never gonna leave because they don't get better. They're never gonna leave, for those things, for a relational piece. They'll leave for a transactional piece that we can't control, but guys aren't gonna leave here for a relational piece, and that's our job, to make sure that we maintain that.
Well, that is something now that you can do different, right? That relational piece. And that's a foundation of what you guys built here, and probably a foundation and a tenet of your coaching philosophy, and part of the reason you get into coaching for relationships. But that part has really gone by the wayside in a lot of places, in a lot of different sports and collegiate athletics, right? I mean, you mentioned it. Yep. Relationship versus transactional. It's certainly flipped or gone way transactional heavy, right?
It has, but it's still, relationships still affect winning. Like I told our guys, like, we have this team for 8 months. Like right now, the way that college basketball works, particularly our level, like we're meeting on Sunday with our whole team for the first time. From that moment on until March. So we're finishing playing sometime in March. All those relationships and everything still matters. Like we're gonna spend time with them. Like every Tuesday night, the team's gonna be at my house. Like we're gonna cook out. We're gonna do those things. We're gonna do all those things to foster relationships. Now, what changes is what this opportunity translates to for them. Like I got into coaching. I'm a first generation college graduate. Like the game gave me my life. And I got into coaching to think, okay, well, I'm going to help a guy improve their life through their education, through the lessons we teach them along the way, which are going to help them when they get that first job, when they're married, when they're a father, all those things. Well, now, unfortunately, at our level, maybe it's creating that next opportunity for them at the next place. Because we had 4 guys leave this year for $2.1 million between them. Like the salaries that they got, I've never had a starting salary for anyone who's had a degree, walking out. So it's part of it. And we can't get caught up in, well, they're going to leave, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. While we have them, we're going to love them. We're going to do everything we have. We're going to try to help them be the best player, the best person they can be. And then hopefully when they leave here, they take a little bit of us with them.
Is that easier a little bit this year for you guys to do? And I know you got to do it anyway. It's the way the landscape has changed. But you're an interim head coach. So you're kind of all in the same boat. Yep. Like you really have no idea by next April where everyone will be. That's a part of the University of North Florida men's basketball program right now. I don't know if that's a helpful thing or scary thing or whatever thing, but I mean, you're kind of all in the same boat right now.
We certainly are. And it's like somebody asked me that the other day, and I'm like, I've never had more than a 1-year contract in my life. Yeah. And I think when you do this professionally, like as an assistant, there's always that pressure, and the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves as coaches is nothing like the external pressure that we're going to have. And everyone's like, well, you're going to feel this and you're going to feel that. And you're going to, people tell me the difference between being a head coach and being an assistant is you're going to feel the losses a lot more and enjoy the wins a lot less, and it's easier as an assistant to let that stuff kind of go away. But the bottom line is, like I said, the whole goal has always been to build a program, and we've built the program here. We've built a program that's sustained. We've done that. In the landscape as it's changed, the goal is now almost to build a team. And how you kind of maintain the sense of the program is we've recruited high character kids. So we've had, over the last 3 years, 8 new guys, and 7 new guys. I mean, it's 23 new guys, and yet you walk into our practice, the culture's the same. Things are the same. Well, the only way to do that is to attract high character kids, because then your culture doesn't slip. It's like when Jalen Smith came in here as a freshman, it was the first time in a while where, we've had the best point guards in the league where we didn't have the guy before to teach the next guy.
Yeah.
But still recruiting he's a high character, great kid. It translates quicker. Things translate quicker, and you get where you want to go faster.
We have this curiosity from assistant to head coach in all sports, right? Like we'll have this about Liam Cohen coming up. Can he call plays and call a timeout at the right time? That's going to be under scrutiny, and you're a Jags guy, you know about that. Do you wonder at all about that part of it? And because that's still a long way off. I mean, you're doing summer stuff. You're getting everybody on. You've secured the roster. Like, there are a lot of things going on where you can't even think about whenever the home opener is or the opening game, probably on the road against a big team, which you guys usually do.
The University of Florida, by the way.
Oh, yeah, by the way, it's at Florida.
Yeah, when they drop the banner, it'll be their first game of the year. Yeah,
so good luck to you. But do you wonder about that? Is that a harder thing to balance than even you might think it is, because you really haven't had to think about that, like with the bullets flying.
Yes.
Like, again, the pace of the game, the feel of the game, when to call a timeout. I'm sure you kind of sat there for the last 20 years and are like, hey, man, it might be a good idea to call a timeout. But it's easier to say it might be a good idea to call a timeout than actually call a timeout.
No, I'm 32 years into this, and you're absolutely right. You know, again, like you try to prepare, and it's crazy. Like, one of the things, I went on an interview a few years ago, and this kind of changed the way that I looked at things. And typically, you go on an interview, and they're all culture questions, and they're all kind of fluff. And it was one of the most unique things in the world. The provost at this school was actually a former college basketball coach and was an NBA scout.
Oh, wow.
So I get with him, and it's the provost, this time of year provost. So I think I'm going to get asked all these academic questions. And literally, we went in his office. He had the whiteboard there. He flipped me a marker, and he says, okay, there's 12 seconds left in the game. You've got the ball baseline out of bounds. You're down to 30-second timeout. He put on the clock, dropped the play. What are you going to do?
Wow.
So from that moment on, like, I've actually spent time in the summer, in my downtime, trying to say, okay, what am I going to do here? Am I going to do that? Like you prepare.
Yeah.
Now, when the lights are bright, and it's the thing. What's the SEALs saying? You don't rise to the expectations. You sink to the level of your training. And I've got to rely on a lifetime of training to help me get through. And I'm sure I'll make the right decisions along the way.
You guys could really, like, again, too early on this, but you guys could really be a cool story.
Yes.
This year, right? I mean, is that going to be any kind of your message? I mean, you could be a cool story every year at the University of North Florida, but I can't imagine people are going to expect much out of this revamped roster and first-time head coach. Like, will that be something that you kind of play up?
Well,
internally?
we do. And I told the guys this morning, like, the standard's a standard. And the standard's been set here. And I've said this already, but like our goal is to create a future that's worthy of the past. We've had success here. Now, when the baton gets passed, like, we've got to elevate those expectations, and that's what we're here for. I mean, anything less, than a championship is a disappointment. I mean, we have an administration who's committed to helping us be the best that we can be. And they say players and coaches win games, but administrations win championships. And I think from the top down at the University of North Florida right now, they're doing everything they can to provide us with the resources and provide us with the opportunity to be as successful as we can be. And I think my goal as a coach is to create opportunities for our team and limit excuses. And those opportunities and those aspirations are the highest. I mean, that's what we want to do. I think, to your point, and I've always spoken about this when I've talked to teams, like, this is the 2025-26 season. And that dash represents life. It represents a story. And we're going to tell our story from the time we're together, which has kind of started, to the end. Now, what happens, how long that dash is, depends on how many games we win.
Yeah.
And that story, we're writing that story every single day.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way to do it. It could be a pretty neat one as we watch it unfold over the next really 8, 9, 10 months. And everybody will be on campus starting next week. Tell us a little bit about your roster, because we talked about all the guys that aren't here anymore, but really you have 7 players returning that know about the program, that know Bobby Kennon, that know the staff, and that's a pretty big deal. 4 of them saw action: Oriole, Lee, Oliver, and Diachik, if I said that right. And then you bring in, you got Kent Jackson, comes over from JU. You did that one time. Taylor Thompson, another local product, along with Mason Lee out of Providence. So what do you like about this roster, those guys and some others that you brought in?
I think our roster is extremely versatile right now, and it's highly competitive. We've had some early workouts, and I think one of the things that we've seen as a coaching staff already is that we have a lot of competition and a lot of depth. And I think even in a short period of time, kind of as we we're kind of easing into our full 6-week sessions, I think we've been able to mesh fairly quickly on the court, and that's the biggest thing. It's like how quickly can we come together in this day and age where it's transfer heavy, and again 7 returners, 7 new guys. The quicker you can get them together, the better you're going to be. Now the difference is, even for our returners, I believe we return like 11.4 points a game or 11.7 points a game, and Cam averaged 8
Wow.
and change.
Wow.
So you say 4 guys hit the court, but the other 4 guys average 3 points a game between them. So everyone on our roster has something to prove.
Yeah.
I have something to prove as a coach. Our staff has something to prove, but everyone does, and everyone is going to be they're going to have the opportunity to accept a different role than they've had before. Everyone's going to have to do something here that they've never done anyplace else for us to be successful. And that's my challenge as a coach, to make sure to help them get there.
You got to find 70 points, right?
I'm hoping we find about 60, 65, and then take away about 10 on the other end, and then get there some way. But we'll find it. It's crazy. So we lose a young man. I mean, obviously in Chaz, I'm really hoping he's a first-round draft pick. I think we've gotten thing that he's late first, early second. He's in that range, and then we lose him. He's the most efficient offensive player in the country, and our scoring goes up. Our offensive production increases. We're still one of the most efficient teams in the country. So that's going to work itself. That's going to work itself out. It always does, and it's our job to develop him, to put him in position to be successful, and to find a way to do it as a team.
Yeah, you said opportunity. These guys got it. I mean, you can become a dynamic. That's people want to play.
Yes.
I mean, and you can come in the University of North Florida, and these guys can play.
Yep.
And like you said, maybe earn another opportunity down the road. Are you going to play the similar way? I mean, are we going to notice anything there? I know you'd love to cut down on the points given up, but you guys have always wanted to do that. And
certainly, absolutely.
Coach Driscoll used to point out, hey, a couple years ago, number 1 defensive efficiency, right? So, there have been times. But is it going to look similar when I call the games this year?
Yeah, offensively we're going to look a little similar. Obviously, there's going to be tweaks. I have my own personality, I have my own nature, but we're built to play a certain way. Like we recruit a certain way. We want to be able to shoot the ball at 5 spots. I think maybe this year we're a little bit different. Arden redshirted last year. He's a 7-footer. He has great touch. He has great skill. So one of the things that we struggled a little bit was defensively last year is kind of playing our zone. And if you don't have rim protection, it's really difficult to play. And hopefully it's a little bit different with a 7-footer in there who's pretty athletic. And Coach Burt did a great job. He got 30 pounds on him. I'm hoping he gets another 10 or 15 on him.
Wow.
Between now and the start, because he had a long way to go. But just as we kind of do that, I think maybe play a little bit more pressure defensively, maybe some post traps and some things like that, just to be a little bit more aggressive. If you're not big and physical, we've got to find a way to create other possessions. We have to rebound the ball, obviously, limit offensive rebounds. But one of the things, we've never been a really high turnover team to create a lot of possessions. And if you're giving up, if you're losing a rebounding battle and you're not turning people over, it becomes a math problem.
Yeah.
It becomes a math problem.
Yeah. I want to ask you a little bit more about that and that style and kind of who you guys recruit coming up. Let's take a time out. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Bobby Kennon joining us in studio. Yeah, we'll ask him about replacing Coach Driscoll, if it is a replace. We've had some comments in, but I also think a lot of people are they like the sound of what's going on at the University of North Florida. Bobby Kennon knows his stuff. This opportunity's been coming for a long time, and the program is in good hands for 25 and 26 in this ever-changing college basketball landscape. More with Coach Kennon up next on the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
If you look good, you feel good, and the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
This has been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
We're hanging out with Bobby Kennon, the new men's basketball coach at the University of North Florida, but he is familiar on the campus of UNF and in that UNF arena, of course, spent a lot of time there now, 17 years with the program. He's an Ocala guy, also coached at Jacksonville and Campbell, so knows the A-Sun. Remember, back in the day, Campbell was part of the A-Sun. East Tennessee State, when I first got here, I think it was like JU and East Tennessee State for 2 years in a row. Maybe it was Belmont and JU 1 year in the championship game. And then East Tennessee State and JU, I think, the next year, and that was Cliff. Don't forget about
UNF and Belmont in the championship.
That was
game.
The next year, I think. I think that was. I think because I got here in 08.
Okay.
It was like 08, 09. I got here in March, and I mean, I don't know anything about the area or anything, but that was what we were covering. Like the first week was the tournament, and they ended up being in the ASUN championship game, which I don't know where that was at the time. Might have been like
played at Mercer.
Macon,
Yeah,
right?
we were Macon.
And all I remember thinking, because I had come from New York, so Siena, Cliff Warren was down here, and he had coached under Paul Hewitt at Georgia Tech, who was at Georgia Tech, and those 2 years go by, and I'm like, man, he was one win away from getting a big time job. Cliff Warren was, and Cliff's done fine, but he was one win away. If he wins the championship, he's out the door, probably getting a like whatever job. I don't know, $1 million job somewhere. That's how that world works. Well, like with a win in that to get to the tournament, you can be out the door and on to the next thing.
Well, it's such a fine line, and you know, Andy Enfield at Florida Gulf Coast on their run, like I'd almost argue we lost our best player lost his father. Jerron Granberry lost his father. He buried his father the day of our first game his senior year. And he was preseason first team All-League. Parker Smith wound up being first team All-League. Those guys are on the wing. They're on the wings together. And I'd almost said that if Jerron didn't deal with it didn't go through that tragedy, you probably never hear of Florida Gulf Coast. And what's funny is here they are. We're in that game. The first game in a conference tournament is always the toughest one to win. It's a one-possession game. We have the ball. There's less than a minute to go. I think we're in Macon playing Gulf Coast. And it's funny, you know, Andy tells me after the fact, he's like, all I was trying to do was figure out how to stop Parker Smith from hitting the shot. Yeah. And then, you know, they win a close game against us. The next two games in the conference tournament weren't close. Their first two games in the thing are close, but it's like, it's such a fine line. Yeah. And I see him at the Final Four a few weeks later. He's like, yeah, a month ago, I'm trying to figure out how to stop Parker Smith from getting the shot, and now I'm the head coach at USC.
Unbelievable.
And that's how this game goes.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's a game of it's an opportunity, particularly at our level.
Yeah, and that's life, by the way, too.
It is.
I mean, a lot of people can do that, and depending on which path you took, right? Yep. Sometimes, and usually you like where you're at. Hopefully you like where you're at, but it all happens for a different reason, sometimes more than others. Bobby Kennon with us. All right, let me get I don't know if it's an elephant in the room, but it's obviously like you got to replace Driscoll. And obviously, everybody loves Matthew Driscoll, what he's done. He's a different cat now. You're not Matthew Driscoll, and nobody is, right? No. But that's okay.
Yeah.
So what is that like for you? Like, I think that's going to be a constant thing for anybody like on our chat or people noticing because he's been the face of the program for so long. And people know he's a pretty unique guy. Sure. So how about from your standpoint, who knows him so well, who helped build it? And being like, hey, man, it's just going to be me. Yeah. Easier said than done sometimes, or just easy?
No, I think it's easier. I think people see through you when you're trying to be something you're not. I mean, that's the biggest thing in coaching. Like, you've got to be authentic with your guys. You've got to be vulnerable with your guys, and you've got to be yourself. And that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've gotten through everything. It's like, hey, be you. Being you is good enough to get you this opportunity. Yeah. Be you, and you're going to maximize it. And that's what it is. Like I would never try to be someone else. I'm comfortable and confident enough in myself and in my preparation for this opportunity. Now, what I'm going to take from Coach Driscoll is, you know, I've had my eyes and ears open for 16 years with him, and he's an outstanding coach. He's an outstanding teacher. I mean, just the way he's run a program, the way he's embraced the community. Like, he set an example and he set a bar. And as an assistant, you know, I've always looked at like, okay, every decision he's made, everything he's done, I'm like, okay, man, this is great. I love how he's done that. I need to be able to do things like that, or maybe I want to do something a little bit different. Again, it's just tweaks and difference. But he's provided an example. He's provided a blueprint. You know, a lot of the challenges are the same, the tasks are the same. Just how I'm going to go about them are probably going to be a little bit different.
How many times have you called him? Or texted?
Well, it's still been, you know, he's still on our group chat, still on our thing. You know, Coach, one of the things about Coach that was great is like how he did anything is how he did everything. And he really communicated, you know, to the point of over communication. There was never any doubt. You know, it was always clear. It was always, you know, he left nothing in doubt. And I think that's one of the things that's really important that I always take is make sure that you communicate. But we do have a relationship. He's a mentor. I mean, we talked on Sunday evening. You know, we talked on Sunday evening for a while. We texted yesterday. You know, it's part of it because it's part of that relationship. Just like anything else, when you have a relation with somebody, if you work with somebody, when you leave and you go a different place, that relationship doesn't change. And it's the same way with a player. Like, guys graduate, when they walk out the door, we're still their coach. This is still their program. Yeah. You know, it changes how it looks because you're no longer coaching them, but the depth and the quality of the relationship and the basis of the relationship is the same.
Yeah, I came away when that news broke and heard from like Nick and obviously started to circulate. I think one of my first reactions to Nick was like, and I'm kind of excited for him. Like I'm happy for him because you've been around, you know him way better than me even. But I mean, he's been feeling it the last few years. How happy are you for him that he can kind of just go coach? Because I think some of the things that people don't understand about you guys, but even Driscoll, is like they see the high energy guy, all this stuff, but you can coach. Yes. You just said at the start of this when I asked,
he's one of the best teachers in the country. Like he's innovative. His mind is great. Like everyone talks about the Golden State Warriors, and we were playing that way 3 or 4 years before they were. So he's been at the cutting edge of a lot of things. A lot of things. I shared this with Coach. We had a private moment at the end. I think after we did the Zoom with the team the day before his press conference, and sometimes in life, there are things all around you that you never see. I went to Palm Beach Atlantic, and the school is on the water. It's on the Intercoastal, and I'm a runner even back then, and I'd run and I'd go to the beach. Well, there's a road. It's Royal Palm Beach Drive that basically it's less than a mile from the university to the beach. And if I've gone down that road once, I've gone down it 1,000 times. And a couple years ago, it was actually May. I think I took the pictures like May 7th of just 2 years ago, 2 springs ago. I was walking by the same spot, and there's a sculpture garden off to the left. And I've never been in there in my life. It's been there. I moved there in 1989. It's been there the whole time. And I walked in, and there was this sculpture. It's called Passing the Torch. And it's basically a guy's on the ground, laying down exhausted, handing a torch to someone on a horse who's reaching down. And I took a picture at that moment 2 years ago. And I took it because I thought, when the moment comes when Coach leaves here, he is going to have given every inch of his soul, every ounce, everything he's ever had to the University of North Florida, to our program, to this community, to our players, to their families. He's going to give it all, and then it's going to be time. And I was hopeful that it was passed to me and the opportunity would become mine. And I shared that with him, and it was a very kind of emotional moment. But that's what Coach has been. Now it's my charge to do the same. And many people don't know this story, but there was a book about the history of Gonzaga basketball, and it talked about from Mark Few to Dan Muntz. It's gone back. And when we got the job that spring in May, Coach bought us each that book, and he inscribed it. And the inscription is "Enjoy the ride," and that ride lasted 16 years. Which is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Great stuff. Bobby Kennon with us here, the new men's basketball coach at the University of North Florida. You've always been the guy that's put the schedule together. So it's really your fault for all these guaranteed games, and I'm sure there's some fun banter about that at times. But it's an important part of it.
Yes.
What's the schedule look like outside of Florida to open? And I know you got some other big ones on the board.
Yeah, we have Florida, Tennessee, Miami, Gonzaga. We're waiting on a contract today from Dayton. Hopefully we can get. We have a non-conference home game. SIU Edwardsville is a return for us. They were a tournament team last year. They're coming in. We just got sending out a contract today for an Ivy League home game.
Oh, cool.
So that'll be good. So we'll have a couple Division I non-conference home games in addition to our nine league games.
That's been a push lately.
Oh, it has been a push. Yeah. It has been a push. And again, I think one of the things that our administration has done, like they've created an atmosphere in UNF Arena. They've created a place to be, with the suite, with everything they've done, everything they've invested. Josh Baker and his staff, Matt Lusevsky and his staff, Nick Irvin, like they've created a place for us. And it doesn't do you any good to have a place when you don't have an opportunity to share it. Yeah. So we're trying to do as much as we can, to bring our community in.
The locker rooms, by the way, are speaking of being done. I know you're going to have to weather through that. That's a bit of a challenge, right? But done in time for the season, or is it on track?
They'll be done in time for the season. They should be done at the end of our first week of official practice, or our first week of boot camp. So we're targeting the men's for about the 22nd or so of September for us to be done. I think they're going to try to push to finish volleyball first because they're in season. But like that's even a challenge right now. Like our guys don't have a locker room in the morning. Where in the arena at 6:30 in the morning, they don't have a locker room. Like everything's different. But we're going to embrace that. We're going to embrace everything that's out of the ordinary because that's what life is.
Yeah, and by the way, those are good things for today's kids to realize, right? I mean, everybody grows up and nowadays it feels like I got the facilities have been so good and everything else. It's like, hey, you know what? A little adversity probably helps build what you want to build, and just a real life moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to the guys about three things. Like we want to develop it. We want to develop toughness. We want to develop togetherness, and we want to develop trust. Like those are our goals. If we have those three things coming out of the summer, we're in pretty good shape. And the trust goes both ways. It's, they have to trust each other, they have to trust us, and we have to trust them.
Yeah.
And that's our goal this summer. I feel like, we talk about scheme and skill development and all those things. If we can come out of the summer with those three things, we're going to be ahead of it when we come back in August and the semester starts.
You mentioned that kind of building that like camaraderie and the chemistry and all this, the words you just mentioned. Are you guys have always put a lot of emphasis on that, whether it's cookouts or other things, but do you find yourself having to do even more of it? Do you think you will do more of it in today's landscape? Because again, you've got this 8 to 9 to 10 months. The faster you get that together, the better your odds are that, come October, you're going to win games.
Yeah, and no question. I mean, you have to accelerate the velocity of growth. You got to get there quicker. And then those are ways to get there. Like, told our guys at the end of practice today, okay, like now practice is over. What's our next win? We've got the weight room this afternoon at 2. We've got to win. I said, but you know what? You're going to get Wednesday. Like, get to know your teammates, get to know one another. That's another opportunity to win today. And that's what we talked to them about this morning. It's like, it's everything. Like, I'm going to introduce, we have our first team meeting on Sunday night, and I'm going to, we've got some things to kind of introduce them to each other as a basketball player, kind of some ideas I have that's a little bit different or a little bit new. But then my challenge to them is like, okay, I'm going to tell you who you are as a player. Now you guys got to learn who each other is as a person, because at the end of the day, that's how you win.
In the NFL, we look at GMs and we say like, hey, they want, of course you got to get Travis Hunter right, but maybe you get like Wyatt Milam right in the 4th round, or Bashal Tutin, or, it's Rayon Lane in the 6th round out of Navy that they get right. They find that. It's like, hey, feather in your cap, right, to be able to find that needle in a haystack kind of pick. You guys have seemingly been able to do this in the recruiting trail, so much so that in the development, of course, to be able to get guys more opportunities, $2.1 million in earnings going into this year of guys that have left the University of North Florida. How much pride is in that, and how much are the big schools potentially just missing?
Well, I think the change in the landscape right now, I don't know if they're missing as much as they don't have to choose. So the biggest challenge in recruiting at our level for always was the high school kids. Like, you were trying to sign them early, right? You're trying to sign them early, and the big schools traditionally would half recruit them, would tell them, hey, wait, we're going to sign you in the spring. So they were able to hold off some top level players because, hey, in the spring. And then sometimes you could be recruiting a kid for 2 years and they're going to come in and recruit them for 5 minutes and take them just because of level. They're trying to fill out their roster. Well, now I think the strategy for most high major programs is they're going to recruit the top 50 to 100 high school players in the country, and that's it. They're going to leave the rest alone. And then instead of taking a chance on somebody they think, may do something 2 or 3 years down the road, they're going to look at our roster and say, okay, that guy's done this against us because we play him against other people, and there's less risk for them. So there's a tremendous amount of risk in a high school kid. There's less risk in a proven commodity. And I think that's where their recruiting has evolved. So our challenge is to make sure that we get guys who are good enough and then get them even better so that they're wanted. Because for us, if you take a high school kid now, you can't look at them even at our level as 2 or 3 years down the road. They have to be able to produce on the court right away for us. And let's not forget, help us win.
Yeah.
Because that's the most important thing. Like, we've got to win.
Yeah, you got to win.
We've got to win.
Like, how much has it changed the way you look at recruiting? Because in my world, I've got this more from the baseball standpoint, because I can follow that a little bit, and I think there's not as much money in baseball too, like where basketball and football have so much money. But I'm like, I feel like now you can be a 2-bucket, 3-bucket, 4-bucket guy, in my opinion. Now maybe there's a 1-bucket guy too, and that will happen. But it's like, hey, we want to get you on campus, and we're going to develop you and get you out of here to a Power 4 in 2 years, and you're going to make X money. Or a 3-year guy, or a 4-year guy where you're going to redshirt, but you're going to go to grad school. You're going to have one more opportunity, like Liam does at Purdue, and go get paid, right?
Certainly.
Like, is that part of your recruiting now? Is that a pitch to be like, hey, we'll get you here, you play, you don't sit, and we'll get you out the door onto that?
It absolutely is. Like, we have opportunity to attract And right now in the landscape with resource stuff, and again, we're trying to increase those resources, and we're trying to do something, but we don't have the ability to retain. So we have the ability to attract and develop, and we're going to struggle in the retain department. And that's where our administration is trying to help us. Like, the key for us is we've got to be able to keep that guy from year 1 to year 2. Like, we've got to be able to incentivize enough to keep them from year 1 to year 2. And then hopefully get lucky sometimes in year 2 to year 3, and then maybe the degree's valued and they stay. You know, maybe you get closer and things like that. But for us right now, like, we looked at it last year. We knew we were graduating four guys were exhausting their eligibility last year. So we signed 4 high school kids early. And then our thought process was, okay, now anybody we lose in the spring, now we'll replace them with transfers, because that's how we're set up economically, resource-wise. That's how because it's very, very difficult for us right now to, attract transfers, because the first call you make to anyone is like, all right, how much?
How much? That's real, right?
It's real. It's real.
Even when UNF's calling,
it's real.
How much?
Yeah, anyone that calls. And the thing that's crazy is it's high school players. It's like, I thought, okay, well, maybe it's junior college players. They want an opportunity, they're hungry for it. It's across the board right now. And I think what happens is it's like anything else. Like, you hear a story about Bigfoot. Somebody sees Bigfoot, and then Bigfoot's real all of a sudden. And everyone thinks they're getting an astronomical amount of money. And like Josh Harris, for instance, at the beginning, like, I thought all year, I'm like, man, somebody's going to offer money at the end of the year. It's not going to be much. If he stays 2 years, he's going to be able to double or triple. If he's here 2 years, he's going to be more proven. He's going to double or triple what he gets after year 1. Well, then year 1 ended, and the amount of money was like, you can't
see you later.
You can't turn it down.
Yeah.
You can't turn it down, and that's part of it. So yes, that's got to be for us. And as a coach, like, that's where we have to pivot and change. Like, we can't get caught up in, well, the guy's going to leave. He's going to leave. Again, this is our team right now. Our team is meeting on Sunday, and that's our team. Those are our guys. Now, what they need to understand is that they're not leaving until the season's over with. Like, be all in when they're here.
Yeah, hard.
It's hard. And I think what the challenge that we experienced last year is people were contacting our guys from the first week of the season. And you have 30 people telling you one thing, and you have a staff trying to tell you another thing. And it's hard for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid to maintain focus. No matter, I don't care if you're a music prodigy or what you're doing. If you're a talented person in demand, then you're always looking at what's next. As a coach, we have to get them to understand what's now.
Yeah.
And then if they perform at the highest level, that's going to create the most opportunity, and winning matters.
Yeah.
People pay for winners. Yeah, people pay for winners. And that's where it's changed. And I've got to embrace it. I can't hide from it, and I can't fight it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fabric of our game. It's where we're at, NCAA wise. And again, I've just got to sell the opportunity, get them as good as we can get them as together as we can get them to trust one another, get them to trust us, and win.
It's got to be pretty wild, though. Like, there are some people that I really thought, I've said this on air, and I'll say it again. I thought, because you guys kind of struggled a little bit down the stretch, some of your, I thought the Josiah Miles of the world, Harris was always going to be interesting because he's kind of a big, but, and Jalen Smith, like, I was like, oh, that's going to help retain. Like, I really thought, I was like, you guys are going to retain. And the amount of money they got, with all due respect to those guys who I think are good players, I just was like, wow. Like, that is eye-opening.
Yeah.
The money that those guys got to go, where I actually was like, to your point, I would have said, hey, stay another year and then maybe you get that. No, it was like, you get that now, and not even sure the resume indicated enough at this point, but that's the shot that the Indianas of the world and other people are taking. Even, it's crazy enough, East Tennessee State or whatever.
And that's the one that's the most challenging to me. Again, East Tennessee State. So we're talking about, trying to get resources and trying to get a bucket of money. Well, what the money is now compared to what it's going to need to be a year from now, we're chasing it a little bit.
You're chasing.
Yeah, we're chasing it. We're chasing it a little bit. But again, I think our priority is going to be not necessarily with resources or revenue sharing. Like, our priority is going to be retaining guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Maybe not necessarily to attract them as much as to retain them. Transfers may be a little bit different, but still the transfer market and the amount of money. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to crack that crack that market and break into it. But our key to be successful is going to be to keep our guys, again, from year one to year two, maybe from year 2 to year 3. That's our challenge.
Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like you're more of a junior college coach in terms of I know I'm only going to have a guy for a short amount of time, or do you feel like you're more of an NBA coach where you're like, I've got to worry about so many people and their team and people's heads because of the dollars that are involved and the actual transactional stuff that does take place in a pro sport? Like, I wonder which one you feel like. You certainly don't feel like an old school college basketball team. That's for damn sure. But the junior college world where there's so much turnover, and even those guys usually get them for about 2 years in most sports, or the NBA where it's like you're dealing with the ego, the money, all that stuff that enters the equation and the transactional part, like, hey, might be a free agent or might be traded, might not have them next year type of thing.
Let's look at it even differently. Okay, you're the head coach of the University of Florida. Everyone you recruit thinks they're doing what? Going to the NBA, right?
Oh,
they all think they're going one. Everyone thinks they're one and done. Everyone thinks they're one and done. Well, those programs have been successful for a long time, coaching those kind of guys that think, I'm just there for this opportunity. I'm going to showcase myself for a year, and I'm going to go. So I think it's actually a combination of all of them. And I think as college coaches, like, we've just got to change our way of thinking. And I mean, like, well, you don't like, used to having guys for 4 years or 5 years, or Dorian James 6 years, like any of those guys. But the bottom line is, like, everyone now in the game is seeking their next opportunity. And even at the highest levels, they've always sought their next opportunity. Again, we just got to make sure they're focused on the one they have now. And it is more of a junior college. It is more of a junior college setup for us, or even it's not quite like the NBA, because it's free agency. Like, the NBA doesn't have free agency every year. Like, they've got guys under contract for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, true.
That's the biggest. I think just the biggest thing is that I know I have this team for 8 months. I know I have these guys for 8 months, and we've got to embrace it. We've got to live it. We've got to max it out. And then when 15 minutes after our last game next year, it's going to be in the NCAA tournament. 15 minutes after that, then people are going to make decisions what are best for them. Yeah. That's life. That's where we are in college athletics.
Oh, and in a way, you're rooting for 5 guys to leave, because that means you had a hell of a season, probably.
Yeah, as long as you win along the way, that's for sure.
Is it the nature of where you're at, ASUN, mid-major, or the nature of how you play, that you guys don't get the bigs that maybe we do see some other teams get? Now it's a supply and demand issue as well, I would assume. Sure. A little bit like a left-handed pitcher. But and can you do better there in getting beefier, bigger on the post?
First, it's been a product of our system more than a product of who we could get or who we couldn't get. Now, I think a little bit differently. Like, you have 13 scholarships. It's okay to have a guy like that.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have a guy like that. And I think we need a guy like that. That's one of the things that, as I look at roster construction right now, it's like, we want to be different. Like, everyone doesn't need to be the same. Like, it helps us offensively when we can stretch the floor at 5 spots. But there are times where, you've got to be a little bit different. And it's like anything else. A pitcher, you're a baseball guy. Like, you got to have a fastball, you got to have a curveball, you got to have a changeup. And I think one of the things I like to have is maybe a little bit more roster versatility to be able to combat some of the things that we face. Now, one of the things that the ASUN has changed is when you look at it with the addition of, some Eastern Kentuckys and Austin Peays, and they're football schools. The leagues they came from are different. They're bigger. They're more physical. We've struggled against the football schools in the last few years. We have. Now, we've still done fine against, the Lipscombs and the Bellarmines and the teams, Queens, the basketball schools. We're 4-17 against the football schools in the last few years, and they're built differently. They recruit differently. Now, we've got to be able to blend our roster a little bit to be able to combat that and to have some roster versatility that's going to help us when we get into the meat of league play.
All right, I need more on that, though. I don't get it fully. I mean, they're not playing football.
They're not, but they're just they came from a more physical league. Like, we're the number one three-point shooting league in the country. The style of play in the ASUN was different. Now they're coming with a different style of play into our league, which has to force you to evolve.
I got you.
You know, and to be a little bit
It's
different.
not that they have a bigger weight room.
No, they don't have a bigger weight room. It's more their style of play.
Okay.
And so it's like anything else. Okay, like in the past when we're rolling in the league, like, okay, we got to catch those guys if we can't score. And I think it's one of the reasons why our league changed. Like, we've been one of the best offensive teams in the country for the last 10 years. Like, if you can't score, you can't beat those guys. So they have to look at their roster and say, wait, we got to get guys that can put the ball in the basket, because we're not going to be in a 62 to 58 game against these guys.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. So, you know, that's the evolution. Now, you know, there's been kind of a mix in the league, and, you know, you just got to evolve and change and figure it out.
All right, before we get you out of here, Glenn C. wants to know if the Knicks have reached out to you.
Nick denied him permission. he didn't let him talk to me.
That's been a common thing. And you guys open with Florida, and obviously plenty of Gator fans around here. Are they, in your opinion, the best team in the country coming back? Who is?
They're awful good. I think they're awful good. They're going to be in the top 4 or 5 in the country. I mean, now they're going to be interesting because they retained their core interiorly and lost a lot on the perimeter. Like, their perimeter was absolutely fantastic last year. And, like, as you sit on that bench and you sit up close, and it's like, wow, you know, I mean, they were really good at every spot, and they were really, really deep. And I think, you know, that physicality, you know, ultimately is what separated them and led them to a national championship. But since we're playing them first, yes, they're the best team in the country. Yes, they're going to win a national championship again. But it's going to be. I mean, you know, hey, you want to do this? You waited your whole life to be a head coach. Well, your first 2 games are Florida and Tennessee. Here we go.
Tennessee, they owed you that one, right, for Chaz?
Well, I wish the check would have been a little bit bigger if they owed us for Chaz, but yeah, it's an opportunity. Coach Barnes and Coach Driscoll have been friends for forever. I mean, that's a lifelong, deep relationship, and it was like, okay, when Chaz leaves, we're going to play you. It's ironic. It's one of the few SEC teams we haven't been there yet. We haven't played them yet. I think we haven't played Tennessee and haven't played Ole Miss and haven't been at Vandy. So we can just mark them off the list.
I think Barnes is one of the most underrated coaches of all time. I don't think he comes to top of mind for people, but I mean, in your world, he does.
Yeah,
but I think just around the country, I mean, I think he's the most underrated. Everywhere he's gone, he's won.
He's won everywhere. The longevity, again, being able to pivot, being able to adapt, being able to change. Like,
it's insane.
Like, they say, okay, this guy's an old school coach. Like, he can embrace it, and now he's in the NIL world, and they're a top 10 team in the country, regardless of where he's been and how he's had to do it. Yeah. And I think that speaks to just coaching, like evolve, grow, change, try it out, figure it out, what works, roll with it. If it doesn't work, let's come up with a solution. Like, that's the thing, is like the game, coaching presents you with 8 million problems. Like, let's not talk about our problems. Let's come up with solutions and let's figure it out.
All right, quick lightning round. Who's the best team in the ASUN going in? Do you even know what the landscape of the ASUN looks like?
North Florida is the best team. North Florida is the best team going in. UNF is.
Is there going to be a premier?
Queens is the only team that returns an all-league player.
Really?
Yep.
Everybody else got picked off or
everyone graduated
because
or gone.
Lipscomb graduated. Austin,
yeah.
Was it Austin P as well?
Yeah, everyone's gone. The only returning all-league player, is at Queens, and he was a transfer from Fresno.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, eyes on them a little bit.
Yeah, eyes on them.
But you don't know.
You don't know.
Like, you have no idea.
You truly,
why do a media poll or a coach's poll at the beginning of the year?
Yeah. You don't. It's like, people have asked me, it's like, and again, anybody that's taking transfers, like, we're all relying on people to do things for us that they haven't done other places.
Yeah.
Every one of us. Every one of us. That's where we are.
David Ackerman, you're relying on him to do things that he has done at familiar places, including UNF. You hire him. That's a hire this morning.
Yeah. His servant attitude, his love for UNF. I mean, he walked into the gym as a 17-year-old kid from Creekside High School wanting to be a student manager. And what he did and how he's grown and the things that he's taken on, I mean, he's ready for this. He's ready for this moment. He loves our program. He loves the university. He loves his community. And at the end of the day, those people make a difference in your program.
You still have one more hire?
I do.
All right. Coming soon?
We're in process. We're definitely in process on that. So it's like anything else, like recruiting. Everyone gets caught up in who they don't get in recruiting. Well, that doesn't beat you. What beats you is taking the wrong guy. You take the wrong guy, that beats you every single day. I want to make sure I take my time and get the right hire, because you don't want to. This is one thing you definitely don't want to rush into.
Last one, just so people understand who Bobby Kennon is. Who's the coach you admire the most through this? That you looked up to, you read the most books about, like is.
Well, the coach that I admire the most is not a guy you've ever read about or you've never heard. It's my dad.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
My dad. I'm a plumber's son. My dad coached me in the boys' club when I started growing up as an 8-year-old kid. My parents were divorced, and I came to live with my dad when I was 8. And people weren't doing that in 1980. You're not living with your dad. And he just taught me, an incredible work ethic. And my dad's a plumber, and he worked for a commercial firm for a long time. And his last 2 jobs, or 2 of his last 3 jobs before he finished up, were the Daytona 500, the racetrack at Daytona, and the renovation of the O'Connell Center, which is the Exact Tech Arena. So I'm going to coach my first game as a Division I head coach in a place that my dad put the plumbing in.
Pretty cool.
So
that's nice.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah,
I'm proud of that.
You should be.
I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of where I've come from. And I'm a product of my community. I grew up in Ocala. I grew up in the boys' club, and more so even than that, like I grew up in the parks. I was the kid that was always playing with the men, and I was just always embraced by my community and always looked up for that. But I've worked for great coaches from Willie Gibson on up. I mean, everyone. But I just think, I think coaching is coaching, and I am well read, and Coach Driscoll always used to tease me about that. But I just think you take a little bit from everywhere, and we're all a product of our experiences. And I'm fortunate enough to have had a lot of great experiences.
Usually on a shoot-around day, I'll catch up with you about the Jags. That's what we end up talking about. Jags going to be good this year, or what?
Yeah, we are. We're going to be good. And that's the only other team I talk about in the we sense besides us. And Coach Cohen, don't worry about it. Like I never criticize coaches. Like, you're my team. I'm all in, and I'm excited. I mean, it's just funny. It's like, Travis Hunter is a perfect fit for this community. It definitely seems to be. I mean, he's a fit for Jacksonville. I'm excited for where he is, and again, there's change there and there's challenges there. You encounter change and challenge every day, and they're going to overcome them, and we're going to encounter change and challenge, and we're going to overcome them, and hopefully at the end, I mean, there's nothing like this town when you win. There's nothing like this city when you win. Nothing like the city when the Jags win. Nothing like the city when there's nothing like it. So that's our charge.
All right. We'll see some Jags guys hopefully out there at some UNF basketball games coming up in 2025, 2026. Bobby Kennon, new head coach of the University of North Florida. That was fun, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
We'll be back. Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We'll talk a little more Travis Hunter. I've got questions, unanswered questions about the Jaguars' first-round pick coming up next.
That's awesome.
Are you about to graduate high school and haven't decided on what you want to do when you get done? Well, one option is to apply to become a student in the Electrical Training Alliance of Jacksonville. Their program offers structured classroom and online training, along with on-the-job training, so that you can earn while you learn. Still not convinced? The folks at ETA Jacks are a tuition-free 4-year apprenticeship program. There is no tuition and no student debt. Just pay for your books and your fees. That's it. Now, speaking of pay, students, they start off making $40,000 per year, including benefits, and they graduate, get this, making over $80,000 per year, including those sought-after benefits. Now, that sounds pretty good to me, and if that sounds good to you, it should check off a lot of boxes. So head on over to etajacks.org and apply by May 15th. Again, the website right here, etajacks.org. Don't wait, apply today.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers. And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Save 10% off any water heater plus no trip charge. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
Grab some friends and go to a restaurant or head out for a drink and some conversation. Watch your favorite team play on the big screen. Or how about play some games? You can do all of that in one night at Best Bet.
Each location has a different vibe, its own personality, like here at the original Best Bet in Orange Park. When you walk through these doors, everybody knows your name. And here in St. Augustine, it's the newest location. Play some poker. How about the table games? And don't forget about Ace's Sports Bar and Grill. And then there's the Jacksonville location right here on Monument Road. It's the biggest poker room in the state of Florida. Maybe you'll find yourself a seat right here at the final table.
Best Bet, where you can have the best of times. And that makes you always go home a winner. Try any of the 3 locations, and you can always visit bestbetjacks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Oh, we got a little scrap house. There's something going on in the wrestling world each and every week.
There is.
I think Monday. What were we talking about Monday? What was happening? Didn't something big just happen? Monday? Oh, was it the Cena versus in Saudi Arabia?
Oh, we were talking.
Was that
yeah, it hasn't
what we were talking
happened.
about?
It hasn't happened yet, but it's supposed to be CM Punk.
CM Punk, yeah.
And John Cena.
I think that's what we were talking about.
In Saudi Arabia, which I think me and Austin are still both under the impression is not going to happen. Although, we're running out of time for that to get pulled if it is going to get pulled. So
when is it supposed to be?
Not this weekend, but next.
Okay, so coming up. Mm-hmm. All right, well, Scrap House tonight, 7 o'clock on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network each and every Wednesday with Casey and Austin. Brent Martineau, Casey Kurtz has joined the studio. Austin Lane has joined us as well from down in South Florida. Kim's Corner here as well. And all right, guys, I got a couple questions. Just jump right into it that I've been asking everybody. So I'll ask you guys. And Austin, will begin with you. Question number 1. Will there be a game this year that Travis Hunter plays more defensive snaps than offensive snaps?
No, I don't think so, because he was brought here as a wide receiver first. The whole point is to help out Trevor Lawrence, to elevate this offense. That's what James Gladstone envisioned. So I have a hard time believing he's going to play more defensive reps than offensive reps.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring this up, guys, just to give you a little context, is Gladstone said in a Sirius XM interview we played earlier today, said, I do think there's a little bit of a misconception in that it's wide receiver first, corner second, as much as it is the learning methodology of wide receiver through this phase and then continuing to trickle in more defense since that is his primary background. And so that's kind of what got me on the top. I agree with you. I'm like, hey, this is an offensive guy. This is all the reasons you said. I don't think this is misconception, quite frankly. I think this is the way they've laid out the plan. The reason they drafted him number 2, traded up to get him, to help on the offensive side, Cohen, Trevor. But it doesn't mean he couldn't play more defensive snaps in a game this year, or does it?
I'll say that he will play more defensive snaps in a game, although I agree with, at least once, I agree with what you guys both said. But I don't trust the Jags necessarily for a couple of reasons. One, I still don't think they have enough at corner, right? You don't know that Jarian Jones can do that in the NFL and play that position. And you can't trust that Tyson Campbell is going to be out there for the entire season. So if a scenario plays out where Tyson Campbell has to miss, I don't know, call it 4 games, and Jarian Jones is just okay, you might be forced into that situation.
Yeah.
So I'll say that it happens at least once.
All right, so the other question, guys, I have for you is, in this interview, there's just brought up how many snaps he could play, and there's this endless energy with Travis Hunter, right? Like, he can go all day, it seems like. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing to have, but the Jags, I would think, there's some perception here, they're going to be pretty cautious with that. In my mind, it's like a 2-to-1 type of offense versus defense. That'll bring you to 70 to 80 snaps in a game, potentially. But they won't cap it. They're not putting a number on it. Is there a chance he plays 100 snaps in a game in the 2025 season, Casey?
Yes. I think so. I would be surprised if he didn't.
Really? In one game, 100 snaps?
By the time you get to like week 17, yeah.
Huh. Austin, you agreeing with that?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about playing in a meaningful game in December or something like that, where there's a division on the line, then absolutely, yeah. I can see him playing like in like a must-win game for the division. Why not?
Yeah, that's I don't.
I'll also give you
I'm a hard no on that. I do not think he's getting to it. I think there's a big jump from 80 to 100 snaps in a game.
I mean, listen, I'll give you even why not for the other argument there. Like, if they're in play for something, absolutely. If you're in play for nothing, I'll go, why not? Like, if he's been doing parts of it all year, I know you could get hurt on any play, obviously. I understand that part. But if it's the end of the season, you know, maybe you're having a nice little stretch there at the end, because we've talked about the schedule at the end is not that tough, and you're winning some games, but you're out of it in the division, and he's capable of doing it. Why not?
Also, let's keep in mind what we're talking about here in terms of reps, right? Like, if you're going to say, you know, like a defensive lineman got 60 reps. Well, those 60 reps are a lot different than a cornerback or a wide receiver, right? Because defensive lineman, you're talking about in guaranteed contact every single time. Same thing with a linebacker. I think when we start talking about the wide receiver reps where you're not always going to get the ball, you're not always going to get the target, and then the cornerback reps where the ball's not always going to run to your side, you're not going to always be, you know, intervening in a tackle or anything like that. Yeah, I think it is feasible because they're not going to be physical reps every single one.
Might just be a lot of sprints.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I think those are good points, by the way.
There, you know?
Yeah. Well. By the way, like I've heard that a little bit, that when he was playing the 111 snaps or whatever it is a game, or jumped into 120 mode, it is different at Colorado doing that, right? Like in defense specifically, where you can take a play off here or there. I think there's less of that, Austin, in the NFL, right? Like, I mean, veteran guys or guys in general do get accused of taking some plays off. I think that's a hard thing to take off a corner position. Now, something goes your other side of the field. Are you chasing as hard as maybe you should be? Maybe not every snap, but I don't think you can just like go into a snap and be like, all right, I got this one off.
No, for sure. But like I've seen plenty of wide receivers who definitely take reps off sometimes when they're not getting the ball, or the ball's going to go away from them in terms of the run game. And yeah, I mean, I think there's some corners that play super aggressive that want to get in the mix. But when you think of corners, you think of more finesse of like, yeah, I'll let the safeties come down and handle it. So I get it. Everyone's different. But once again, like, not saying he's going to take plays off, but like there are plays out there that you can just kind of get by with, you know, going 3/4 speed, and you're not going to be influenced on the play at all.
What's the math on that, by the way? For him to play 100 snaps, do we know what that math would look like? Be like every offensive snap and then 2 out of every 3 defensive snaps? Is that
well?
Close, or no?
I think there are about 120 to 130 plays in a game. on average. Like, I think most people want to be in the 60 to 65 range. So if you do that time, now that'll change, right? I mean, Jags had 48 snaps on offense before. So if you go with 120 snaps, let's just say at a very moderate level, I mean, if you play 100 snaps, I mean, now you're talking, that's a high percentage of snaps. Like, that's unlikely to get. I think you'd have to get a game where it's like 130 to 140 snaps, high volume, to be able to push that up. But because the way I look at it is this guy, and I'm not sure, and we'll dig into this a little bit deeper. I'm not sure they're sure yet, but I look at it from a real sports science standpoint. So to Austin, and both you guys are saying this, okay, there might be a play where your exertion rate, whatever that looks like on a sports science, whatever they're wearing, right? How they can tell how fast they're going, where their heart rate is, how much energy they use, whatever metric that is, that they're going to probably have a number that they want him in for two things. The ability to play at the highest level, and secondly, a recovery mode for the next week. Like, you got to be a little bit careful how he's going to recover differently because he's going to play more than anybody else.
Right.
So where do you want that number to be? Sports science. I have no idea. You have no idea. We have no idea. But I guess that's really, to me, the metric on how this could change. If he might be able to play 40 snaps at a certain level and 60 snaps at a certain level, that number comes out to be very similar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and that could change by game to game, to you guys' point, right? I mean, there's going to be a game where it's a lot closer. There's going to be a game where it's way more physical. There's going to be a game where you're featured more or you're not. So I am fascinated by this to see where it lands. But in my mind, it's still a snap thing because that's easiest for me to process. And I feel like it's 2-to-1 offense to defense. And I feel like it's somewhere between 70 and 80 snaps on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. What I'll be intrigued by at the closer to the end of the season is in terms of what you just talked about, like exertion rate and all that. But if they can get 40 snaps and get X and get 60 snaps and get X, however they want to do that. What I wonder is towards the end of the season, if 60 snaps of Travis Hunter at that speed is better than 100% of your next closest person.
That's fair.
Because that's not going to be the case in week one, and I'm not setting that up. But if this guy is like the generational player that James Gladstone everybody thinks he is, I would kind of believe that him at whatever percent might be better than somebody else at 100%. I think it's something to at least think about.
Yeah, and that's something that we ask a lot about injuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like where a guy is...
it's like Chris Jones when he came back.
Yeah, or Halliburton going into this, right? Like how much should you play him over O'Connell, who's producing, right? I mean, those are real questions that you end up... Is he hurting you or helping you?
Yeah.
Has he earned the right to do it? Yeah, but is he helping you even at 80% or 60% or whatever that is? Hey, since we're on the Jags, guys, let's stay on it for a minute. And Daniel Griffiths writes about this on actionsportsjacks.com. And tackling is the topic. That's always a good topic for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What's interesting to me about this, and we have this graphic, but Devin Lloyd, in terms of the most tackle percentage, 4.5%, led all NFL linebackers in 2024. I'm sorry, the missed tackles percentage.
Oh, I was like, hold on a second.
I said most. Missed tackles percentage. And this is why, I continue to say this, Austin. I think he's one of the most confusing players to judge on the Jacksonville Jaguars, is Devin Lloyd. I think there's such a mystery about him. And even the Madden game has him like at an 85 rating.
Really?
Yeah. He's highly rated on Madden. Some of the PFF numbers show up in a strong way for Devin Lloyd. Yet I think the perception, Austin, on Lloyd is that he hasn't been very good.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Wait, so I'm confused here. So
Same.
He leads the NFL at linebacker in missed tackles or in the least amount of missed tackles?
Let me go deeper dive so I can.
Because Oluwakin's at 12%. Like, I'm so.
Yeah.
Pro Football Focus graded the Jags as the 11th best tackling team last season.
Really?
That's in large part thanks to Devin Lloyd, whose 4.5% missed tackle rate led all linebackers in 2024. So that's a very low rate. Lloyd missed just 5 tackles the entire season.
Okay.
On the other side of things, Ventrell Miller led the team with 17 missed tackles at an almost 20% rate. He's not on this graphic, but it was 19.3% missed tackle rate, 86th out of 92 qualifying linebackers. And the reason why I think tackling is an interesting topic is because I think the fundamentals, the base side of their defense, you have heard it stressed a couple of times, where they went out and got guys that can tackle. A Caleb Ransaw type of player, right? That is a sure tackler. And you remember the sign of, or James Gladstone saying safety, right? The root word is safe, right? The Jags gave up a lot of plays. Andre Sisco missed tackles. Right. I think the Jags are really chasing this going into this season when they are evaluating players, Austin.
Yeah, I get it. Like, what I love to see, and I'm trying to look it up right now, is like, okay, you took those percentages. Like, how many tackles total, though, did Lloyd have compared to Foye, right? Because you feel like Foye playing that middle linebacker probably had a lot more tackles and a lot more opportunities to miss tackles than a Devin Lloyd. So I'm not saying like these numbers are skewed or anything, but like I'm very curious to see how many tackles actually Lloyd had where, you know, is it, I'm trying to look it up. I can't find it. But yeah, I mean,
that's a good point.
It's the thing with these numbers sometimes is like you kind of got to dive deep to see exactly where they're coming from.
Because Foye is involved in every single play.
He is, and he would have been more. Correct. And so that could actually work both ways, though, right? Like, because Ventrell Miller missed some tackles, he's got a smaller sample, so the higher percentage goes up.
Yeah,
right?
I get that.
So actually, there's more evidence for Foye where his number isn't going to move as much the amount of tackles he missed. But Devin Lloyd played a good amount of football. I don't think this is like 20 tackles versus 150 tackles, you know, for the two players. But again, I think this adds to the mud on Devin Lloyd. I think he's a good athlete. He can get the stuff that's in front of him. He's not great in coverage. What does he do? Does he pass rush more? For the third year in a row, we're going to ask that question. Yeah. But how do they utilize him? Because there's something there. I think I don't know if everybody believes this, but I feel this way, Austin. There's something there in Lloyd that can add to your defense. But nobody has seemingly been able to tap into it. Caldwell, Nielsen, and now Campanelli gets a try, at least on a consistent basis.
No, for sure. And it's the same thing that we were excited about when he came out of college, right? It's the athleticism. It's the metrics in terms of just if this guy can get after the quarterback, you can put him in a couple different spots and just turn him loose and let him do his thing. And unfortunately, you know, maybe he hasn't been put in the best spots to be able to do that. I think when you talk about just like a more traditional linebacker, he has shown like, you know, he has been in the wrong spot sometimes, and there's been some games where he's shined and everything, but it hasn't been on a consistent basis. So, you know, it's one of those things where hopefully you have Campanelli now where you can look at it and say, okay, we can use him better. We can use him to what he's more suited to. But until we actually see it for ourselves, to me, he's just going to be another guy where it's like, you know, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Is this a scenario with Devin Lloyd where, like, the Jags are just dead wrong about who he is and he leaves and goes and he's an edge player for pick your team and he's, like, really good? Like, is there a scenario where they're just not right about where he's best used, right? If he's not good in coverage, stop. I don't know. Use him where, like, is that a possibility here? Because it kind of feels like that might be the case.
Well, what it feels like to me, Casey, it feels like the Zach Bond situation where like Zach Bond was kind of used the past couple of years, wasn't used to, you know, to his best abilities. Vic Fangio sees something in him, brings him on the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's an all-pro, right? Like I can definitely see the same thing for Devin Lloyd, where if you use him, you know, in a certain scheme that fits him the best with his speed and athleticism, yeah, he may shine.
Because I'm not saying he's the focal point of your defense, and not this regime, but you did pick him in the first round. Like at some point, maybe, and listen, I understand there's first rounders all over, which isn't necessarily a good thing. It should be, but it's not because where you picked them. But like maybe you try to build a little bit more around that guy. I'm not a genius, but
yeah, I think you've got a good point there. I don't know why they can't figure him out. Like when everybody says, hey, he's not great in coverage. Who's great in coverage as a linebacker? Like, that's what offenses try to expose. Like, you've got a mismatch. Like, you've got a mismatch if you want Travis Etienne on a linebacker. You want your Evan Engrams on a linebacker. Like, you're trying to create that mismatch, right? And some defenses just, sooner or later, you get exposed with the linebacker position. Some are better than others. I get it. But nobody's great, right? There's just nobody that great, or they wouldn't be playing linebacker probably.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the nature of the position. So I always hear that, and I'm like, okay, but that doesn't get you out of the league. Like, there are things that looks like Devin Lloyd are doing well, that you could, to your point, accentuate a little bit. And yeah, he does feel a little bit like a player that somebody's going to unlock. Is it going to be Anthony Campanelli is the question.
It feels very Quincy Williams-like in a different scenario. Like, they weren't using him right. They cut him. They said, you're not good enough to be on the team, and then he leads the Jets in tackles.
He does feel a little bit like
And they're not the same player. Like, I'm not saying someone's going to take him and use him like they did Quincy, but, like, how does that happen? Like, I feel like if Devin Lloyd goes to another team, I just feel like you see it, and the other team's like, let's use this guy on the edge. Let's see what happens. Like, can he cover in a 6-yard situation? Yeah. But, like, every time he gets exposed and we see it against the Chiefs and whoever, he's 20 yards downfield. Like, what do you expect?
What are you expecting? Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Austin, I've got a, you've played with guys like this, I would think. And let me be careful how I phrase this. But, like, to me, he might be like a, let's just say like a see ball, get ball guy, right? Like where it's, because he looked like his head was spinning at times, speaking of Quincy Williams, like that famous like Beehive quote. But if you go back to the early, when his rookie year, I'm talking about Devin Lloyd here, his first month, he made splash plays. Remember, he was like the player of the month. He was a rookie defensive player of the month, I think, in the NFL or in the AFC. Then he got benched. Because he really had too much going on, too much responsibility, couldn't figure it out. Was that a young guy thing or was that a him thing? And you've played with guys probably where there are just simplify it. Just simplify it, let him react and play ball. My one concern about this defense with Campanelli, it's going to probably make you do multiple things and think as it's the way it's been addressed to us so far. So, I guess what I'm asking you is there just some guys you just say, hey, go do this and do it well and don't mix anything else into that.
Yeah, I think there's some guys who just have, and there's no really rhyme or reason, just a great feel for the game. Like if you want to talk about like good coverage linebackers the past couple of years, like you think of Eric Kendricks, you think of Fred Warner back in his prime, dude. Like that dude was a menace. The thing about Fred Warner is like it didn't matter like where you lined him up, put him on a tight end, put him on a running back, put him on a blitz. Like he's just gifted. He's just gifted where he has the ultimate feel for the game. And I think with Devin Lloyd, we've seen he's got the athletic intangibles to be great. But, like, does he have the feel to drop back in coverage like a Luke Kuechly and jump a route? Absolutely not. Not with that we've seen. So if that's the case and it's a little more like a Quincy Williams, then, yeah, you put him in positions to do what he does best. And if you look at what Devin Lloyd does best, or at least what he did best in college, it's playing on the edge, it's blitzing, it's going after the quarterback, and it's getting in space and using athleticism. Not necessarily thinking, I got to cover this guy, I got to cover this guy, I got to drop back in his zone coverage. That's not his game. If Campanelli can find his game in that defense, then more power to you. If you can't, then we might see him shine someplace else.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of the things to, and we've said this a couple of times, he's got to me one of the most to prove this year on defense. There are a bunch of guys in this category, but he's got a lot to prove and he's got a lot to gain.
Yeah.
And I really think Campanelli's key to this defense, potential, not the total key, but one of the keys is can they unlock him and get the best play out of him? He can elevate your defense if they do that.
Yeah. And Austin, I was just thinking about this when you're talking. Not to put you on the spot here, but like, okay, so we just established that he's a sure tackler, right? According to those numbers that was put out there. I'm understanding that correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tackles well.
So is that if he's on the edge, let me start here. Does that make you better against the run if you have that sure of a tackler stopping the run on the edge, Austin? Does that like increase your defense, or is he better suited in like a linebacker role to stop the run there?
It's a great question. Yeah. So I think, Casey, and man, you can speak on this too, because you understand the game of football. Like when you're talking about playing more of that middle linebacker in the middle of the field, it's a lot more to diagnose, right? It's a lot more of, okay, is it going to be a double team? Is it going to be a reach block? Is it going to be a pull block? So when those things go down in the chaos, as a linebacker, you got to diagnose really quick and follow your guy and be like, okay, I got to be in this gap right now. When you're on the edge, yeah, there's still some diagnosis, but it's almost like playing man coverage compared to zone coverage, where when you're in man, it's like, okay, I got a lot to follow here, but I got to keep on my guy. When you're playing zone coverage, it's like I'm responsible for this side of the field and keep everything inside me. And if it comes to me, make the play. So to answer your question, Casey, I think playing on that edge and just being responsible for more of a side of a field is a lot easier. It is a lot more easier just to pin your ears back and go, as opposed to that middle spot where you have to diagnose now and make sure you're making the proper reads.
So play more free.
Yeah, I mean, and I get you want every player to do that, right? I mean, Austin talks about that all the time.
Jack.
Yeah, you just exactly. Like there's a little bit of Miles Jack in this.
Yeah,
where it's like, okay, take some of the thought process out and just go play and use that athleticism, use those gifts that you have. But again, every player, you want to get to that point in almost any professional sport. It's how do you get there, and how does your scheme fit each and every chess piece?
My thing with that is, I wonder if Devin Lloyd is more, and to say this means he would then leave, but I wonder if he's more Miles Jack or Quincy Williams. Because like Miles Jack left and
was just okay
and didn't play very long.
Yeah.
Quincy Williams left,
took off,
and is great.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wonder if he's, which one is he more of? Because I think, agreed, like not playing him the best way, I think, is what we all think. Said that about Miles, said that about Quincy Williams, as it turns out. I just wonder when that may happen for the Jags if they do move on. Where does he go after that point? Because it feels more to me Quincy Williams, because it just feels like they're not using him right. But
I get that. I think that's a good call. That's actually something to really watch. I think the other thing to watch here is, well, if they untap it, if they unlock it.
Oh yeah,
can he be like really good? Because nobody's counting on that.
Best case scenario, but it is the Jags.
Nobody's counting. Let's take a break. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champs, and Giannis on the block potentially. You all right over there? That Florida Panthers doesn't ring a good bell for you, huh?
You trying to make people vomit? You trying to make people throw up their breakfast?
Why is hockey in the state of Florida better than football?
Damn, that's cold right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the same reason why hockey numbers are down, probably.
We'll be right back.
Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that, we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet's truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
It's been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
The Fleet continues its summer swing with the Jacksonville Armada men's and women's teams finding success on the pitch so far in 2025. The girls in blue find themselves in the thick of a three-way battle for the Sunshine Conference crown with an undefeated mark at home. They wrap up the schedule with a pair of Friday night showdowns. As for the boys in blue, they remain unbeaten this summer and top the table in their conference, with crucial road games still to come down the stretch against Naples and New Orleans, after a final home game versus FC Florida. All those matches are at Edward Waters University. and you can watch them live on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Will Olive, Mandarin High School. Go Stangs.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oakleaf High School.
Tony Mazzio, Sandalwood High School, class of 2002.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Jacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com.
Sun's out, suits out. That's right, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's time to say goodbye to bulking season and hello to shredding season. But if you're like me, you're having a hard time sculpting and shaping those final pounds. That is until I came and saw my friends over at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Right now, everyone is hopping on the Evolve X train, and the only destination is finding your perfect summer body. The technology uses electrical muscle stimulation and radio frequency energy to cause your muscles to contract, all while heating up those deep layers of your skin and tissue to produce collagen and reduce fat. It's like doing 1,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. No pain, no needles, just results, right? That's right. So leave those winter layers back at the station and come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Jacksonville Sharks going to be on the network this week with Shark Bites, of course, and you can watch them down at the arena 7 o'clock on Saturday. Big one against Quad City, 8-2 team. So head on down there, inside, air conditioned. Don't have to worry about the weather. Watch some football, indoor football league, and we'll have more on that on Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network as well. ActionSportsJacks.com. That's where you find Shark Bites on Friday and Saturday, and some articles online previewing the game, and hopefully a victory recap coming up on Sunday. And we'll replay the Sharks games too, and that's what we do here on the network next week. And also we'll attach it to that article, hopefully after a win, so you can go back and find the game too. Same thing happens with the Jacksonville Armada. Brent Martineau, Casey Kurtz in studio. Kim's Corner here. Again, we appreciate her hanging around with us the last couple of days. Austin Lane back in South Florida after a workout. We take you until 1 o'clock here on the show. All right, I talked about it at the top of the show, but the Florida Panthers getting it done. Austin, I mean, you said it yesterday, is kind of like, and pretty much, in a weird way, they dominated the series, even though 3 games went to overtime and they blew a 3-0 lead. Like, you kind of figured it was going to happen, right? And they dominated Game 6 too.
Yeah, I mean, for all you hockey casuals out there, the word of the day is going to be forecheck. And the last night, for the first couple periods I did watch until I knew the game was over, their forecheck, basically, we talk about forecheck, it means like if you're in the neutral zone, how much are you hustling back from offense to go play defense? How much are you hustling back towards the center line to try to create chaos? And that's kind of been their calling card this entire playoff run to win a Stanley Cup. Is for whatever reason, it just seems like they play at a higher speed. In terms of their forecheck, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Yeah, there you go.
Get it off the screen.
Don't be bullied, Kim. You're fine.
But
I did it to mess with them.
when you talk about the speed of Connor McDavid and just the offensive prowess and goal scoring of Draisaitl, to completely neutralize that with your forecheck, I mean, this cup was won with it was won with good goaltending and good defense, but it was won with effort, and obviously the guy that they call the Rat in Brad Marchand, but it was won with effort. So once again, if it was any other team, I'd be pumped about it because you earned the cup. But since it's the Florida Panthers and they have Brad Marchand, I'm just kind of like, whatever. I was actually cheering for Edmonton. Like, I wanted to see, because we think about it here, like, we're very Jag-centric here. I'm in South Florida right now. I haven't seen a lot of banners being waved. I haven't seen a lot of excitement that the Florida Panthers won. Like, imagine if the Edmonton Oilers won that Stanley Cup. Just how crazy that would have been. Like, Brent, they have radio talk shows dedicated just to hockey. They talk about it year round. Like in Florida here, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, what's Bam Adebayo talking about? Okay, here we go. Now we're starting with Tyreek Hill and everything. Like, it's kind of secondary. And I mean that with all due respect because, hey, the Panthers are a great hockey team, but I guess I kind of feel for Edmonton Oilers fans, man, because they came out in full effect wanting to win a Stanley Cup, and unfortunately for the second straight year, they can't pull it out.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. Like, I mean, what's interesting to me is, like, I think the travel is interesting in the hockey because you're going to Edmonton to Florida.
Yeah, people love this one.
Well,
Florida had to travel too. That's what I heard.
No, my point is, like, they handled it way better. Like, way better. Like, it almost looked like it fatigued the heck out of Edmonton, but I think that's maybe because they were even worn down by the time you get to Game 5 and Game 6 because they were chase mode the entire series.
Figure it out. Like,
if you're not good enough, you're not good enough. Like there's a reason why bad teams have penalties or fouls more in sports, because you have to grab and cheat.
Fair. I don't think the main problem here is Edmonton's goaltending fell apart. Like, Skinner was fantastic against the Stars. Bro did not show up, got benched on 2 different occasions. The backup sucked. Like, they couldn't have, there was nobody in Edmonton, apparently, that could stop the puck from going in the net. That's the biggest problem. It's not because Brad Marchand all of a sudden is the greatest hockey player to ever be reborn. Like, they couldn't make a save. They were terrible. Like, their offensive firepower is not worse than Florida. I do not care what anybody has to say. But the fact that their goalies did nothing for them, their defense was terrible, that's why they lost it. And, like, I get it, the travel's serious. Bro, if you're tired, then quit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they said that.
I know.
I'm just saying.
And by the way, and to Austin's point, there's no banners and stuff that he's seeing. Kim, that tweet that she put up, she had to crop out the bottom because it would have said 6 likes, 18 people saw this tweet, because nobody gives a damn about the Florida Panthers.
Interactions with his fake, Bitcoin people than the actual Florida Panthers get with the actual hockey fans. No, Casey, you're right, man, too. And keep in mind, like, it just seemed like the Oilers were desperate and they're trying to do all these things, whether it's rotate the goaltenders, whether it was, then they kept on rotating defensemen too. Like, they kept on trying to change it up and get a spark, and that led to more turnovers and goals right off those. Like, last night you saw 2 just giveaways because you had 2 defensive men that weren't used to playing together. So it was just Edmonton was trying to, I don't want to say they outsmarted themselves. They're just kind of looking for that spark, and unfortunately they couldn't get it. And once again, when you have 2 of the best offensive goal scorers in the league, it's on them too to try to rally you guys and get you some motivation. And McDavid couldn't do it, and Draisaitl couldn't do it last night either.
Yeah, would have been nice to see. I kind of was rooting for Edmonton a bit too.
Everybody was.
Yeah, it feels like everybody was. But they dynasty now?
No.
On the verge?
No. Not even what dynasty? Dynasty.
I mean, Casey
2 in a row.
Back Stanley Cups.
So what? Lightning did that? I didn't hear you talking about dynasty.
Well, yeah, I think we did probably at that time.
No, you didn't. You don't know. 365 times 2 is 730 days. That's it. That's all they've 730 days.
I'm glad you had to put that in a calculator.
You want to talk dynasty, things that are long running, of the Brent Austen Show, right? All the different ways that it's like Brent Austen, like, were together, broke up, and got back together. That's more of a dynasty than the damn Florida Panthers, who suck. No, it's not a dynasty.
Casey, here's the real question too now, and that's kind of one of the big storylines. You got McDavid with one more year left in Edmonton, and I forgot what Draisaitl's contract is. Are they going to try to keep Connor McDavid, re-sign him to which I would assume be a record-breaking contract, or is Connor McDavid going to look good in a Vegas Knights, Dallas Stars, or Toronto Maple Leafs jersey?
I mean, you have to try to keep him if you're Edmonton, but like,
Watch it ruin hockey when he goes to Las Vegas and wins a cup there. Canada may get out of I don't know. Canada may start their own league.
That's the thing.
Point.
If you're Edmonton, you're looking at it, you're like, we got him. We got Draisaitl. We have other talented players, and we lost. We got here twice in a row and can't do it. I think if you're management, you start to go, okay, what do we do here? I think you re-sign Connor McDavid, but to that point, he may want to go. And Gretzky left, it's not one of those scenarios. But if Bro went to Vegas, that would be.
Oh, it'd make you feel sick, right?
Yeah. If he went to Toronto, that would just be.
Toronto makes sense.
It makes plenty of sense.
I could see Toronto unloading their big four or whatever, and I don't know. I guess you keep Austin Matthews.
You keep Matthews.
Okay, but I can see Toronto all right, he's a Canada dude, best player in the league. Let's bring him to Toronto and finally maybe get over that hump.
It'd be disgusting.
It would be the most hockey thing ever. It seems like the past couple of decades, if he was to go to Las Vegas, Showtime, the bright lights of Las Vegas and the Strip and everything, and now he's the featured player there and win. Yeah.
Be something.
Hey, a couple of things, guys. Devin Lloyd, just to answer your question, 113 tackles in 24. Foye, 108 tackles in 24. We got that in. And did you see that the Jacksonville businessman about to buy the Tampa Bay Rays?
No.
Interesting.
This just came in, but Dreamfinders Homes, Patrick Zalupski.
Okay.
$1.7 billion letter of intent to buy the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, so a letter of intent. What does that
mean?
Well,
So the way they're framing it is in advanced talks to sell the team to Zalupski, who owns Dreamfinders Homes.
Letter of intent means, Casey, that he's got a couple other options out there, and when it comes to signing day, he's going to put on a cap with either the Rays or some other conglomerate or some other minor league team. All right, I'm going to be the owner of this team right here.
He's got the Rockies, the Rays, and a minor league team on the table, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to shock the world. I'm going to own the Rochester Red Wings. I guess I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying it's kind of newsy. That's it.
Jacksonville or not?
Well, I don't think there'd be that. I think.
That's the next part of it. Would it still be in St. Pete?
Where does it go? Right? Is it to save it in Tampa? This is just coming out the last 15 minutes. So I don't know what.
They do need a home. That's for sure.
Obviously Dreamfinders is built up to be a $1 billion company. I'm reading something that says has an enterprise value of $3.4 billion. Dreamfinders does. So. And they're not just in Jacksonville.
What is the guy's name again?
Patrick Zalupski.
Zalupski
with a P.
Okay, never mind.
I was actually a little surprised. $1.7 billion.
They suck. They're playing it. They have no stadium. What do you buy?
I guess that's true. Probably from the stadium.
What are you buying if you're the Rays?
Maybe that's a good time to buy.
You got no stadium. You don't have any players that are going to bring you substantial money back. Your merchandise sales aren't great. Your ticket sales are worse. You played in a minor league stadium. The hell you buying?
Yeah, interesting. But anyway, that's some news out that we'll continue to follow throughout the rest of the day on the Tampa Bay Rays. Hey, let's get to Jacksonville feud. I'll give you your Giannis stuff tomorrow. We'll go through them because there are a bunch of them. So we'll take a lot of time.
Where he's going to go?
Yeah. I wanted to see if you like any of them, from a trade standpoint, which you've probably seen. Staying in Milwaukee would be a good idea. Not sure if that's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
So let's get to a little Jacksonville feud.
Well, now I'm upset about the Rays. But
don't you want him to get bought?
I don't know.
I don't believe. If I'm a Rays fan, I kind of want. What's the ownership doing now?
Nothing. But why? In my opinion, why would you buy the Rays and be like, I'm going to keep him in St. Pete?
Well, because first of all, he's a Florida guy. I doubt they're bringing it to Jacksonville. Is he going to go to Orlando? Where does he want to go?
The Orlando people are hot and I don't understand
Tampa's a great market. If you put it in the right spot, maybe he can make all the other dominoes fall. He's a huge home build. He obviously has deep ties. By the way, he's also on the board of trustees with the University of Florida, so he's connected.
The Gainesville Rays.
The Gainesville Rays?
Gainesville ain't selling out of 81 home base.
The Ocala Rays.
The Lake Okeechobee Rays.
I don't know. I just assume that anyone that wants to buy the Rays, the master plan is not to keep them.
But I would think if a guy that's in Florida is going to buy them, you have a much better chance of anybody else buying them.
I guess.
And staying in Florida.
Yeah.
So, and again, I mean, we're talking about Tampa's a good place to be. Like, there's a lot of good stuff about Tampa. It's not like it's a declining market and you're trying to get out of there.
Yeah.
So,
great.
I would say it's a good thing. All right, let's go.
Yeah, Liam Cohen got out of there as quick in the middle of the night, as quick as he could. All right. Thank you. I forgot about that. Austin, you can't hear it, but just bob your head like you can.
Yeah, you're kind of in and out, but I can hear you. I get the gist.
Fair enough. All right. Jacksonville feud. I don't know if you guys heard. Desmond Bain was traded for 4 first-round picks to the Orlando Magic.
Hey,
4.
Casey, would you rather trade Desmond Bain for 4 first-round picks or Sophie Cunningham of the Indiana Fever last night for 4 first-round picks after she just put that girl on her back, sticking up for her teammate Caitlin Clark?
I saw a little bit of that. There's grit there. There's tenacity there. Listen, I'm going to be honest. She's probably selling out seats more than Desmond Bain is. I'm going to keep it real, right?
I think she's got a lot more Twitter feedback right now than Desmond Bain does in the positive light.
I think people would go see her play over Desmond Bain. But anyway,
it wasn't because he scored 5 points last night either. So
yeah, it wasn't that. Anyway, so I was, you know me, at the town center walking around, and I was like, where do people want to talk NBA at the town center? So I was strolling around near the Dick's Sporting Goods, right?
Good idea.
A couple of shoe stores that I went
there
by.
later today.
You're going there?
Yeah.
Let me know if the same people are there that were there last night. But anyway, so I was asking, I was like, hey, you guys heard about Desmond Bain getting traded for 4 first-round picks? They were like, no, we don't even know who Desmond Bain is. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. But I said, when you think of some of the biggest NBA trades of all time that revolved around multiple first-round picks, who do you think of? Like, players get traded for players, sure, but I'm talking about multiple first-round picks changing hands for players. And the top 5 answers are on the board. I will give you a little bit of, I guess, help here. They are all like recent-ish. There's nothing.
It's become a new trend is to give up those picks.
Yeah, there's no like Michael Jordan era guys here. Like all of them, but one are still in the league, and the number one answer is the one that's not in the league. So that's what you got there. All multiple first-round picks given up. Austin, what do you got?
Okay, I'll start off. Man, because see, I can't remember if this was players or if this was just first-round picks, but go and give me Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons, that would, has been a bad trade overall, but no Ben Simmons.
Okay. No Ben Simmons, okay.
How about Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant.
Did he be on here multiple times?
Okay. I'm pretty sure the time he went to Golden State, he was just a free agent, but that's okay.
What about Brooklyn? Free agent again?
I actually can't speak too much about Brooklyn in this Jacksonville feud.
But no-go
situation. But it is a no-go. Austin?
Okay, so there's one player that's retired?
That's correct.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to... I don't get 2 strikes right away, but I feel like this has to be the guy because they gave up so much to get him. Kevin Garnett to the Celtics.
Kevin Garnett to the Celtics. He is retired. Kim? Number one answer.
Good
Kevin
one.
Garnett.
Very good. That was good. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And believe it or not, only 2 first-round picks.
How about Kyrie Irving?
I remember back then, though, it was kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, this was before people were trading 4 for Desmond Bain.
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving feels like it could be an answer that's on the board here. Kim? Kyrie Irving? Nope. Austin?
I mean... So if we're talking about people outside of Dick's Sporting Goods, even though it wasn't like that monumental, I still feel like the name is that big. Luka Doncic.
Luka, I don't remember how many first-round picks change hands there. I'm sure a few, right? Kim, Luka?
No. Or
what?
Oh, she said it froze.
Oh.
Was that yes or no?
No.
No.
Wow, okay.
There we go.
No, but Brent, as you have 2 strikes, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. Something in terms of the Luka trade does matter here.
Yeah, because I was going to say Anthony Davis next.
Oh, okay.
Anthony Davis from the Pelicans to the Lakers. Do we have Anthony Davis, Kim? Yeah, we do. Number 2.
I was going there anyway, but thank you.
3 first-round picks for Anthony Davis. Answers 3, 4, and 5 on the board. All current players. Listen, I know guys are getting traded all the time, but just think about some of the big names.
Can I mean go and give me, I guess, LeBron James, even though I don't know what LeBron. I mean, I assume there had to be something for LeBron.
He's
free agent, I think.
For both, even when Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, never mind. I know I'm like, the clock's getting ready to run out.
You did here. You mentioned Brooklyn earlier. Brooklyn is involved in one of
James
these.
Harden. Okay.
James Harden.
Good one. I didn't know Harden would have been for all that.
4 first-round picks.
Wow.
And 4 pick swaps.
I'm going to give you one. Is there one like a little under the radar, like would maybe hard to get? Or are these all big names like this?
No. One is when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, they did give up way too much.
Yeah.
And then one is a guy I would consider to be a big name.
Okay, so this is where I was going next, so I'm going to go with one of those options as Bradley Beal.
You're the right train of thought. Do we have Bradley Beal?
Dang it, I thought that was a good one.
You're on.
They're all current players, right? Still, you said?
The last 2 are current players. That's correct.
Is one dude, could we kind of put him on the Pacers back in the day?
What is this, 20 questions?
Because I'm trying to get a feel.
He is at one point in time. He wore a Pacers jersey at one point in time. Paul George.
So would you call him the big name? Or
that is the big name.
Okay.
And by the way, 5 first-round picks.
Really?
And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
Really?
That's what the Thunder got when they traded him to the Clippers.
And I think I know the last one, too, because I just read about this one.
Brett?
This one's a little bit more under the radar.
A little bit like he plays.
This one I read, an article said that this is the worst trade of all time.
Huh. I mean, listen, he plays. He don't necessarily score.
Exactly, yeah. That's why people consider it the worst trade of all time. Because what he does he really do it that well anymore? I think we're on the same page, Casey.
I mean, I think so.
Geez, what's coming to my mind in that? I wish I just said like a star name. I mean, you got to be talking.
What more of a hint do you want, Brent?
Doesn't score the basketball. He could have it under the hoop and he would look to dish it out.
Give me something across the tongue.
That's actually a hit. Yeah.
I didn't even hear what he said. Man, all right. Now I'm not even thinking. Stop talking to me for a second.
I'm telling you who it is.
I didn't hear what you said, but
I think it's in that country. I have no idea.
I think you're right. That's the hit I would have
super
gave.
racist if it's not. So I'd be bad, but yeah.
Where we're going with Gobert?
Hey! Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know how the hell Rudy Gobert came into my mind. You know what I almost said? Because I couldn't get it right away. Like in my mind, I was like, remember COVID? Was it?
Yeah. I mean,
like that's what I think of when I think of Rudy Gobert, right?
That's fair.
Because wasn't he? Yeah. Was he the first one to get? Or
bro walked into the media room and touched everything.
Was touching everything.
That was the thing with it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then everything shut down.
Yeah.
Right. He was kind of the shutdown guy.
Yeah. Pretty bad. But yeah, Rudy Gobert, 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 5 players.
That's amazing.
For Rudy Gobert.
You know what's pretty wild about all this, what I said at the early going is you don't go way. This has really been a philosophical change in the NBA. Just be like, we don't need the picks. And what I said the other day, and maybe Minnesota will talk about this. I'm sorry, not Minnesota, Milwaukee, talk about this tomorrow, is like, do you really feel like you can just recoup it later if it doesn't work? Like we were talking about with the Magic. Mm-hmm. Like if it doesn't work in 4 or 5 years, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, you unload and then you go trade one of your big stars and you get this many picks back. So it's not like a 1-for-1 swap. It's not a player-for-player swap. It's like, okay, here, we'll give you our 3 or 4 first-round picks because if this works, great. If it doesn't, we're going to go get them because we've got a star player to pass along later on.
For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is interesting, you know. And like when we talk about you trade those first round picks away, well, look at the team that you're trading with. Like, are they going to be picking in the top 10? Are they going to be a solid team where they're picking like 20th or 30th, where maybe you don't get a quality player? Then like that all goes into it as well. Like, yeah, a first round pick sounds great, and in the NFL, oh, you get a first round pick, yeah, for sure, it's going to be a great player. And the NBA, not so much.
Do you need to take a break here? I do have another one.
Yeah. Oh, another thing?
We can save it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, Kim, we're doing round 2. You don't have to play the music again. Just throw the board up. So same, not the same humans, but same general idea. I was like, do you have a time for a second question? They were like, yeah. I was like, worst trade in sports history. What comes to your mind? And go, was what I asked them. And here's what's interesting to me. In my opinion, the worst trade in sports history was not an answer I was given enough to put it in the top 5. So
really?
Okay. Yeah, and I'll just give you Miguel Cabrera from the Marlins to the Tigers. It was a bunch of guys that never made it, highlighted by Cameron Maben. Miguel Cabrera went on to then have, 500 home runs, 3,000 hits.
Yeah, he's been a great hitters of all time.
Yeah, shoe-in Hall of Famer. So
boy, they've traded away some guys, huh?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So that one I think is the worst trade in sports history. But I did not get that from others. Here's what I will tell you. Your first answer and your last answer are football from the NFL.
Okay.
Your second and fourth are baseball. And number 3 is basketball.
Okay, so 2 baseball, 2 football, and a basketball in there.
Brent, okay, my turn to go first. Herschel Walker.
Kim, Herschel Walker, number 1.
Casey, I mean, can you give us a hint? Are these all current or are they all
retired?
Or like,
no, you got to go way back a little bit for some of these, right?
Okay, so both of the baseball players are retired significantly. Both basketball players are retired as well, but it's closer to current. And then your last football player is close to current, but is retired. The last football player one is interesting, to say the least.
Okay.
Awesome.
Man, I can go a couple ways here. Worst trades. I mean, are we going Kobe from Charlotte?
That one,
they traded Vlade, didn't they?
They did. Kim, do we have Kobe?
That was a good call.
It would have been the 6th one. It was it was so close. Listen, I didn't get enough answers, Austin. I don't know what to tell you, Doc.
Okay.
Babe Ruth.
Kim.
Babe Ruth for what? I don't.
I mean, Babe Ruth. Yeah, they
for nothing basically.
For nothing, they traded him for like $100,000 or something.
Yeah,
I have it here.
It's terrible.
Yeah, Babe Ruth for $100,000 cash, and then Babe Ruth went on to be halfway decent at baseball again. People like to say one of the greatest ever. He's no Shohei Ohtani, but I digress. Austin Lane, basketball, baseball, and football left on the board.
Yeah.
An all-time great in baseball. Basketball is, I wouldn't say an all-time great, but think about where we just were. And then in football, I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised that I got this answer.
Okay. Well, with football, like, I'll be honest, the one that sticks out to me is Brett Favre getting, like, they finessed him out of the Atlanta Falcons, and Brett Favre went on to be, obviously, one of the greatest of all time. So do I want to go that, or is there another football one that I'm missing?
I was thinking of that, too.
Listen.
It's a good guess.
Okay.
Oh, hang on, then.
I love how he tries to read your body language.
About the draft when it was the Colts with John Elway. See, it's either John.
What if I told you it wasn't a quarterback?
Is it a running back?
Yeah.
Marshall Faulk?
No.
Then this is ridiculous. I have no idea then.
Brent, quickly, do you have any rapid fire? Basketball, baseball, football.
I mean, the Colts traded the Marshall Faulk right for nothing when it was.
Tell the people at Dick's, man. I don't know.
Okay.
You said it was a running back, though.
It is. I might be able to give you the teams. I don't know if you'd get it.
Yeah, are these going to be all hard to get?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Think of worst trades in NBA history. Just quick, rapid fire, either of you.
I think of worst picks before because it's like Bowie and Jordan, but that wasn't a
They were
trade.
on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and it was bad. New coach, new team, new jerseys in New Jersey. Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Nets.
Oh, okay.
Huh. I would never have got it. I would never have got it.
Football, the Saints to Washington.
Saints to Washington. Oh,
Was that like an Archie back in the day thing?
Is this like
Running
the
back.
Ricky Williams thing?
Ricky Williams. Correct.
Good one.
Okay.
Good
and
one.
then baseball is one of the greatest maybe pitcher ever.
Was there a Koufax trade, Gibson trade?
Nolan Ryan?
Nolan Ryan to the Angels.
How many times did he get traded? Probably quite a bit.
A couple, but that one was for Jim Fregosi.
Manager.
Oh yeah, the classic.
That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a tricky one.
All of my bits are good, by the way. But
yeah, they're always good.
Jacksonville Feud usually is good. I run into some randoms at the town center. If you want to be pulled next time,
I might go ask around today when I'm over there.
I mean, did you interview randoms, or were these like old people outside the old people's home? Like they go way back in time with some of these. Babe Ruth? I didn't know he got traded. What are we talking about?
I was walking the shoe section at Dick's Sporting Goods. I was like, "Hey, where's trade?" Guy's like, "Hold on." I'm like, "All right."
Taylor Loft with all the olds.
No,
I can't believe the Marlins weren't on there at all. All the people they've traded away. That's nuts.
Agreed.
All right, that'll do it. Thanks, Kim, for being here. We're back at it tomorrow, 10 o'clock. We have Cup Date coming up next in a week with us here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. See you on TV tonight, CBS 47, Fox 30. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
The Fleet continues its summer swing with the Jacksonville Armada men's and women's teams finding success on the pitch so far in 2025. The girls in blue find themselves in the thick of a three-way battle for the Sunshine Conference crown with an undefeated mark at home. They wrap up the schedule with a pair of Friday night showdowns. As for the boys in blue, they remain unbeaten this summer and top the table in their conference, with crucial road games still to come down the stretch against Naples and New Orleans, after a final home game versus FC Florida. All those matches are at Edward Waters University, and you can watch them live on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
It's fast-paced.
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
High fly.
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
Action-packed. Weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks.
I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's got to be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent. This is the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com.